I got some guy to invest in me on TikTok and said, I'll give you $1 million, make TikToks for a year, or I'll give you $500K, make TikToks for a year, I'd do it. I'd be way more interested in doing that. I would drop like every video I work on right now and just make TikToks. Because to me, I figured out how to do it where it's like making TikToks is like making videos. You know what I mean? It's just, oh, that's crazy. They have a Once Upon a Time in Hollywood book.
Yeah.
Is it the screenplay or is that a novel?
No, it's like a novel.
Oh, it's crazy.
So he put it out last summer.
Is it good? Well, I mean,
I'm
it's
almost done with it.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, I wasn't a huge fan of Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. That's crazy. That's crazy. Yeah, no, honestly, that's like, it's like, it's not my least favorite, but it's one of my least favorites. I'm not gonna lie. Is it? I'm not saying it's a bad movie.
No,
by any
it's
means.
okay.
There's no bad Tarantino movies,
Everybody
really.
has a different take.
Yeah.
Why is it one of your least favorite?
I think it's just because, like, I think I'm not super interested in, like, the Manson murders and stuff like that. And
Yeah.
I really like slice of life and, like, non-plot, like, filmmaking.
Yeah.
I like stuff that doesn't always have a plot if it's, like, super character heavy. But it just felt like now that I'm actually going to say it, I feel like it doesn't sound as bad, but I feel like he was just writing, like, he was just writing a story for himself. Like, you could tell that he was just writing it because he was having fun doing it.
How many times have you watched it? Once?
I've only seen it, like, twice.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw it in theaters, and then I saw it again. But, like, the second time I saw it was, like, a very passive viewing. You know what I mean?
The reason why Once Upon a Time in Hollywood is currently my favorite Tarantino movie is because I like how refined it is. I feel like it's, like, Quentin minimalist in a way. Where kind of like you said, it's like, it's not a plot movie at all. It's really just kind of slice of life characters. And I like that it's kind of like happy core and polite core, where he keeps doing these classic Quentin setups where you think something horrible is around the corner, and then it just kind of winds up being Cliff, just being like a nice guy. And because of that, I think the payoff at the end, where it becomes one of the most violent scenes he's ever done, is like such a I don't know. Like, I love how simple it is.
Yeah, it's definitely a film that he's definitely made so many movies that he's just playing around at that point. So you make me want to watch it again. Yeah. Anytime I shit on a movie and somebody's got a good point about it, even if I still don't really know if I like it, I'm always like, I don't know, shit, I should watch this movie again. Like,
well, I thought, I get why people would like his other movies more than it, for sure, because a lot of his movies are these big epics, you know, and there's like a lot of moving around, you know, and it's a very simple movie about normal people relative to his other things. I've been reading the novel, and what's cool about it is, like, so many of the side characters, including, like, the dog, has its own chapter with, like, 20 pages of backstory. And what's been really wild reading this is, you know that he's one of these guys who just loves filmmaking and characters and all this. Reading this, I'm like, holy shit, like, he clearly has so much backstory and so much rich details in his head about the characters we see that, like, you'll never get to see because, you know, he can't make a 5-hour movie, even though he probably would want to, you know?
Yeah.
And so it's been really interesting to read and kind of see, like, all this extra stuff.
I think it kind of reminds me of you ever seen Inherent Vice, the Paul Thomas Anderson film? So it's based off a book by Thomas Pynchon.
Yeah.
And I read like half the book. To be honest, I didn't finish the whole thing, but I love the movie so much I was like, I want to read the book. But in the book, it was like every time there was a character, it was like this whole elaborate backstory and stuff like that. And I think honestly, a lot of filmmakers who are really inspired by novels are typically ones that I feel like have like the most deep characters. Yeah. And also know how to drive a story in a way that doesn't feel like you're on the plot points, but that you're almost like gliding through them. Yeah. You know what I mean? Well, because I feel like that's why I love his films, is that you get so lost in the characters, but you're also feeling the movement of the story. And I feel like maybe with this one, I personally didn't love the characters enough to not feel the movement of the story. Okay. Because that's why I love Inglourious Bastards, is I feel like
that's like in my top 3. Oh yeah. Yeah.
I feel like that movie's just like expensive chocolate. You know what I mean? Like it's like you're watching it and you're just like, wow, like this dude's speaking 4 different fucking languages, and everything is so beautiful, and like every quote, I don't know, it's just like.
I love the precursor to the final scene where the bastards are about to infiltrate the Nazi movie screening.
Yeah.
And they have to pretend that they know how to speak Italian.
Yeah.
And
he's like Gorlami, like
he goes Gorlami.
Yeah.
Yeah, Brad Pitt's really fucking good. See, I love Brad Pitt's character in Once Upon a Time so much.
Yeah.
Because he's just like at every turn doing like the right thing. Like he's like driving Rick's car. He's like, you know, the girl tries to sleep with him and he's like, no, get away from me. Mm-hmm. Like he's always like, he never fucks up. And then like in the middle, they hint that he may or may not have killed his wife, but they don't outwardly say, and it's so funny. So then at the end, when he's just viciously murders everyone, it's just like, okay, this guy fucking killed his wife. It's like such a long hanging punchline, I feel like. Yeah. That's like,
I feel like that kind of goes back to the whole like he's playing with characters at this point. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
No, I love his movies. I feel like I need to give it a second shot now that you're saying stuff, because I feel like I'm just missing things. Because you know, it's like one of those movies you got to watch it a few times to really actually know what the fuck is going on.
Well, I think one thing about it that I've appreciated a lot more with filmmaking lately is I think a lot of people go to the movies these days and they're trying to like solve them as they watch it.
Yeah.
I think analysis culture has taken over so much.
Totally.
And like, sure, video essays on YouTube is one thing, but I think TikToks, there's so much like, did you notice that this happened in this scene? And a lot of time it's like really bullshit claims, in my opinion.
Yeah.
People just kind of content farming. And so now I think a lot of people go to the movies and they're trying to like solve them, and they're trying to find a reason for everything instead of just enjoying what they're watching.
Living in it, like living in the moment.
Yeah. And when I saw Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, I remember one of my friends afterwards brought up this scene, and they were saying how like it was a long scene and it didn't lead to anything later. And I was explaining how like it showed us a lot about the character though and their vibe. Mm-hmm. And I think stories can actually be plotless if it's just a really great character piece and you watch a character just kind of express themselves over the course of a story.
I think that I feel like there's always a story and there's always movement to it, but to define it in this like almost like 8-sequence storytelling, like that plot structure that you learn, A plot, B plot, anything kind of like that, that's just like one way to do it, and that's like the base for it. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I feel like I feel like a good example of that is like Boyhood. Like Boyhood is like definitely a story, but there's no driving plot.
Yeah,
it's literally just elevating a person's life. Like you're just watching a bit of their life every year as they get older, which is like a story in itself, but it's not like a moving plot with like a rising action and a climax. So yeah, I agree. Honestly, I think those movies too, you really need to watch a few times to really actually appreciate what's going on, because at first it might feel like nothing is happening. Mm-hmm. You ever heard like a Fellini's whole thing about like watching a movie 3 times?
No.
He has this thing where he says like, if you really want to understand a film, you need to watch it at least 3 times. One, you should not think a single thing about it. You should just, the first time, just watch it and just take it in, kind of like what you're saying. The second time, you understand the plot points, you pick up on it, all that kind of stuff. And then the third time is you really actually start to understand how the film works, how the like, almost like the theory behind like making the movie is applied. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But you need to live in it first so that you don't try to like trick yourself into knowing what's going on. You know what I mean? Because I do that. I had a problem with like watching movies for like a year where I was like, I would sit down and I felt like because I'm a filmmaker, I had to get something out of it. I had to walk away with it and be able to talk about it. And now I'm like, if I want to watch something, I want to like I started doing this thing because my roommate Tommy does this where he'll rewatch TV shows he's already seen while he works, because you don't really got to pay attention to it that much. I've been rewatching Malcolm in the Middle. Malcolm in the Middle is the best show ever, bro.
It's so funny you bring that up, but continue.
Dude, but like, I'm not like sitting there.
I have something to say about Malcolm.
Really? Yeah. Dude, I love Malcolm in the Middle.
So I love Malcolm in the Middle a lot.
Because it's great. Because it's like the greatest TV show ever.
So when I go to do podcasts with people and they have other interviews, sometimes I listen a little bit just to make sure I don't like talk about stuff they've already talked about a bunch. But I try not to listen to the whole thing. So, you know. But I listened to like 5 random minutes today of you talking to Nick Johnson, and you were talking about Malcolm in the Middle.
Oh, really? That's crazy.
Yeah. So I was just hearing you go on about how good that show is, and I was actually gonna bring it up to you because
that's crazy.
It's so good.
I didn't do that. I did that podcast in like 2019,
I think, probably,
or like early 2020, like pre-pandemic.
Well, 3 years later, it's still on your mind. So
well, because I've always loved that show. Specifically, my point with it though is I watch it kind of almost subconsciously, and I'm enjoying it probably just as much as I would if I was watching a movie for the first time that I really liked. Right. Because I just know the content so well that like I can kind of fall into it, and I just love. I feel like a lot of my taste and like humor and like characters comes from that show, because everybody's a little like self-humiliating in it, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I love that. I think that's like my favorite part of it. But that show's always left a mark on me, and specifically the bowling alley episode. Do you know that episode?
Yeah, where it's the split timelines.
The split timelines, and it's like when Lois goes or when Hal goes.
Yeah.
And Hal does the whole shake when he goes bowling. Like,
yeah.
I feel like I watched that as like an emerging filmmaker when I was like 14 or 15, and I was like, okay, I actually want to be a filmmaker. And like I feel like at that point I was watching shows and movies that I loved, and I was like, okay, well, how does it actually work? I remember watching that episode and being like, oh, this show's actually like, before I even realized I liked stuff like this show actually has like that kind of layered intent behind it.
Like it's well made.
Yeah, it's well made. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, Malcolm in the Middle is interesting, like with TV history, because it was kind of the first family sitcom that was shot single cam and not on like a studio audience multicam thing.
Yeah.
And when you think, it's kind of crazy to think that, because you would assume that there'd be more. But when it comes to like the whole like nuclear family like kind of like sitcom, it was kind of the first. And on top of that, they took the idea of it being this like fun family that gets into hijinks that you watch, and they were like, these are the worst people ever.
They're just super, they're the family on the cul-de-sac that like you don't want to talk to.
And I shouldn't even say worst people ever, but you know, it's like obviously Lois, like she's a lot.
Yeah.
And
the kids are all kind of bad in their own ways.
Well, it was the early
bad, but like
it was. Reese is kind of a dick, and
Reese is definitely Reese is not. Francis is kind of dangerous too, especially in the. I feel like as later seasons went on, Francis became more normal.
Yeah,
but the earlier seasons, Francis is like lighting cars on fire and stuff.
Well, the show is very indicative of like the early 2000s, and I think how people felt as like lower middle class. You know,
yeah, it owns it really well.
Yeah, I love that.
I do too. It's slept on Bryan Cranston too. You know what I mean? Like it's like,
yes and no. I mean, he's known now for Walter White, but I don't think he ever would have had Walter White if he wasn't Hal first. You know.
But I feel like when people talk about Bryan Cranston and like how good of an actor he is, I feel like it's Breaking Bad and on. Like his career started with Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
And really, it's like his career started with Breaking Bad. I completely agree with you. Like I think that there would be no Breaking Bad without Malcolm in the Middle. But to have Breaking Bad, which is like this super intense drama where he's playing this really scary character.
Yeah.
And then you have Malcolm in the Middle where he's doing like the funniest shit half the time, or being really the opposite of Walter White, where he's like soft and sensitive.
Yeah.
And he's definitely like the easy parent. You know what I mean? How like they have the easy tough parent kind of set up. Like he's like the softer one.
He's so fun. The episode where he gets into like speed walking.
Dude. Oh my god. And just the outfit, and he just owns it. Like his face is just so like determined when he does. Like I just rewatched the rollerblading episode where he taught Malcolm how to skate, and it's like, dude, but there's this shot where he's like, Malcolm and him are at dinner together, and he's like, Dad, like, can you teach me how to roller skate? And like it dollies in, and then all of like the backlight just kills, and it's just them two together in this dark room, and he's like, are you sure, Malcolm? And it's like, what the fuck? Like this was like 2003. Like
I don't remember what network did it. I think it might
Fox.
Have been Fox.
It was on Fox. Yeah. Dude, I loved Fox growing up. I'm not gonna lie. I was because I watched
they produced a lot of good shows.
Yeah, honestly, well, in that like. I think I was watching live TV as like a whole thing for me from like, I want to say from like 9 to like 14. That's when.
That's right. I was just like, there's a screwdriver.
There's a screwdriver.
My bad.
Dude, I love your Cyndaquil.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I have a Cyndaquil sticker on my hard drive, so I know what's going on. Well, there was this episode of Pokemon where everybody's Pokemon get kidnapped by Team Rocket.
Yeah.
And then Ash, and then Richie, who was just kind of like other Ash.
Yeah.
And they both have Pikachus. They're in the back of the truck.
Didn't he have a nickname for his Pikachu, Richie?
I think it was Sparky or something.
Yeah, I think it was Sparky, yeah.
So they're in the back of the truck, and there's this like giant bag of like 1 million Pokeballs.
Yeah.
And they're like, how am I ever going to find my Pokemon? And then Richie pulls out his, and Ash is like, how do you know those are his? And he's like, I put stickers on my Pokeballs so I know who's who.
Yeah.
And then Ash is like, whoa, Richie, that's an amazing idea. And I remember as a kid thinking it would like come back, and it never did. But when I started buying hard drives, I thought about that. And so now I have like very distinct like, I know I could just use a label maker like a normal person, but I prefer fun stickers.
I mean, that's cool. I feel like as people, like, we got to find purpose in like small things to like keep us going, and like putting Pokemon stickers on your fucking hard drive is just a better way to live life.
It's very full circle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
But no, I'm with you. I watched TV more than anything growing up because so before DVRs and like recording episodes, we would buy like full seasons of shows.
Yeah, or buy like volume DVD packs and stuff. Or
so we mostly bought them on iTunes.
Oh, really?
Which now is a little bit.
That's crazy. I had Holes in 8 Mile on iTunes when I was a kid.
I had Iron Man 1.
Really? Oh, that's a great movie.
Yeah.
I feel like, oh man.
Yeah, no,
Iron Man 1's awesome.
So season 2 of The Office
yeah.
was going on when I was like a fourth grader, when I was like 9.
Uh-huh.
And me, my brother, and my mom started watching it together on the Jim's Barbecue episode. And from that episode on, I watched every episode of The Office like live on TV.
Yeah.
So every Thursday.
You looked forward, like that was
every
what Thursday was. Yeah.
Yeah. So like when the season was over, we'd buy the season on iTunes, and I would just sit at the computer and just watch it constantly. And then we could DVR them, so then you could just record it. And so like waiting for the next one to come out, I had already watched the last one like 3 times.
Yeah.
So like literally pre Office being on Netflix, I had already watched the whole show.
You were like an Office stan.
Like 20 times. But I started adding in more shows. Like I did this with Scrubs and 30 Rock and Parks and Rec and SNL. Like I watched so many shows.
I love Scrubs.
Scrubs is underrated.
Scrubs is a live action South Park, bro. Like it's like no, I'm just joking. Like, I used to say that, but I don't think that's actually an accurate take.
That's a crazy claim.
But no, I love Scrubs. I think I did think when I was younger, I remember I watched it and I was like, this has such a weird, dark sense of humor.
Yeah.
In a very family-friendly sitcom. You know what I mean?
I never thought of it as dark, but I suppose because
there's an episode where the lawyer's about to jump off the hospital and kill himself. Yeah.
Yeah, but Ted is also like
suicidal is like a character trait for him on that show.
That's true. Ted was like the Toby of that show.
Yeah. But Toby wasn't ever trying to kill himself in the office.
Well, we just didn't see it.
Yeah, I mean, that's all right. Well, but like, you know, I think honestly, like, I feel like that whole single cam era of sitcoms is super slept on because they had to actually prove that they were going to be good.
Do you want this like a little higher?
Sure.
I feel like you're leaning forward a little bit.
Yeah, I just have bad posture.
Okay. I sometimes I just like throw like a book or two under these.
Oh, that's smart.
I haven't done it the last few times, but now I'm like I just see you leaning forward, so now I'm like,
nice.
Yeah, I don't have fancy microphone stands.
Like it's all good.
See, how's that?
You can get one on Amazon though that like.
I know.
Moves.
There's so many.
It's like $8, but
all right. There's just so many things I need to buy.
Yeah, no, I feel you.
I just hate buying film equipment shit without like taking the time to research it first, because then it comes in and it's kind of jank, and then you don't replace it for years.
That's facts. And now you have this like shitty thing. Now I feel
and you don't know what to do with it.
I just bought a bunch of like iPhone camera accessories because I'm going like super hard on like the TikToks right now. Yeah. And like that shit is like. That was like Christmas when I got all that stuff.
So like fisheye for like iPhone.
I got a fisheye, but what my favorite thing is I got an iPhone tripod that's like a suction cup mount, so I can just suction cup it on
that's cool.
Like
I was wondering how you were doing some of the bird's eye views.
Yeah. So I have a desk bird's eye tripod too, so I can put it on my desk and then I can do like the bird's eye, and it's got this like arm that can bend really easily.
Yeah. And
then I have a Gorilla Pod too, so I have a few different ones, but the suction cup one was like doing a desk bird's eye is easy.
Yeah. But
doing like crazy wide high angles, which I love like an overly dramatic like wide high angle, and like I can now do that on my iPhone because I got the suction cup mount.
I want to ask you something. I'm trying to find the right way to phrase it.
Yeah.
So you certainly are putting effort into your TikToks. Like you're trying. Do you feel like as a filmmaker like you're already a filmmaker before you're even making these social media videos.
Mm-hmm.
Do you find it like easy to impress people on TikTok because you just know of techniques and stuff that are cool? Does that make sense?
No, maybe I'm like, it makes sense, but maybe I'm dumb. And I don't know those techniques because I don't really know like.
Well, I feel like most people aren't doing like bird's eye views and shit like that.
Oh yeah,
you see what I'm saying? Because like, you're doing somewhat advanced camera techniques.
Yeah.
But for someone who makes music videos, for you it's not that complicated.
Totally. Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
I think I'm just shooting things on there that I like to shoot, and like even though some of them are like tropeable, like a bird's eye view, especially like a desk bird's eye view, I just like. That's like stuff I like, so I'm just gonna like, I'm just doing it, and I feel like I'm at a point where I'm like, I know how to make videos. Like I can make videos. That's not the problem. I get really insecure about being original with my content or being like having like the Lucas OM voice and like standing out and all that kind of stuff. But then I really think about it, and I'm like, nah, I should just be doing as much as I can, and like if people feel like I'm like copying something or like doing something like that, like it's because I'm still learning what that style is. Like I feel like as a filmmaker's life goes on, we're in the we actually know how to make videos stage right now. So now it's like I have to go from that to what is Lucas, but that might take me another 10 years. You know what I mean?
That makes sense. Yeah, because like I definitely pride myself on trying to make original cool things, and and like a lot of stuff I've done has been derivative of other things because I'm like inspired by a lot.
That's how all my stuff is. I can like look back on every music video and tell you what movie I was thinking about.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
I think part of the reason it takes me a while to make certain short films and music videos, aside from the fact that just timing and budget and stuff like that plays a lot into it, is because I do try to like figure out like exactly what I'm trying to do and say. Like I try to give myself some sort of creative goal where by the end of it I feel like I've expressed myself fully, and it is like a Zane thing like you're describing. And so with that, I try to make those like things that feel more like weighted to me on my body of work, like have a lot of thought put into it. But when I'm doing other things that are more just for fun, like doing a podcast or video essays or graphic design, because you're doing TikTok, so it's like as an artist it's kind of good to have these other things.
It's like a side thing. Well, and
that's kind of where you can play around more and not worry about it. Well, and
it's like cool because it's like I've been working in music for a while, and like I don't understand marketing that well, but like I've started picking up on things that like artists could do. Like at this point right now, like if you want to actually make a career in music, the best thing you could do outside of making good music is putting that music on TikTok. Like that's just a given. So I'm hanging out with all these artists, and some artists are super with it. Some artists are like, fuck TikTok, this shit's stupid. And it's like this weird like gamble where it's like you have this understanding of the market, but these people that you're working with don't always want to apply it. And I'm like, but I can apply it. So why not I just put myself in it? Because that's something I've always wanted to do. And it just kind of folds into that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, there's like so many different things there I want to talk about with you, because I feel like you and I both really appreciate like filmmaking and art and stuff. That we're kind of in this weird world where we got to navigate this very. I think the problem with social media and a lot of this stuff and like marketing and trying to figure out how to get it to people is I think it's inherently unnatural and inhuman to a certain degree. Because, and I'm not saying that you can't bring humanity to these things, but I think when you're trying to feed an algorithm or figure out what trends well, like you're starting to think a little bit like a business executive where you're like, well, we'll catch people's attention. And I think that line of thinking is pretty different from like what is good art. But it's like if you want,
they can coexist though.
They can coexist, and like I think like what I'm speaking to is kind of like a necessary evil in some ways, where I think some people are amazing artists, but they don't want to play that game at all.
Totally.
And it's like I get it, because I don't necessarily want to either. But it's like, well, can you make it fun? Like, can you find a fun version?
That's what TikTok is for me. Is that it's this thing that I've learned how to do things fast, and that I enjoy doing them and stuff like that. And so I didn't mean to cut off.
No, you're good. You're
like,
good.
I wanted to go back to something you were saying, where like you have this part of your videos that make you feel like they're Zane. And that's probably the number one most important thing for you. And for me, like when I'm making videos, the thing I always try to keep in my head is as long as I don't care about a style as much. I used to when I was younger. I don't care about a visual style as much anymore. I care about making people feel with whatever I'm doing. I don't care what that feeling is, as long as I can exhibit a feeling. A lot of my earlier stuff was like super dramatic, and I think it was because I was like, I know how to deliver this feeling. And now I'm like kind of like, okay, I want to learn how to deliver like other feelings. But that's the consistent core of anything I do. Instead of trying to be like original or anything like that, it's just trying to like facilitate that emotion, because that's how I am about most stuff. If I really like it, I feel something.
Well, I look at somebody like Disney, where now they're very rigid about kind of making their movies essentially like well-selling products.
Yeah.
And I think that they limit themselves from sometimes making the art as a good a version of itself it could be. And what I mean by that is like there are some filmmakers like Wes Anderson where they have a defined style, and that's just like what they want to do. And I think that's really cool. And I think the consistency allows for people to be fans very easily. But what I'm very impressed by are artists where none of their work reminds you of the other.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you're saying not an auteur, like somebody who can bend between the lines of like stuff and make like very different projects.
Well, I mean, even if you look at like Kanye, there's similar through lines between his albums. Mm-hmm. But like, you know, Yeezus and 808s and Heartbreak and The College Dropout are very different albums.
Yeah.
And kind of what you're talking about with feelings versus having a distinct visual style, I'm a fan of a lot of different kinds of stuff. So I think like my innate filmmaking style, like my sensibilities, are kind of towards something like Boyhood, like a slice of life, whatever. Mm-hmm. But if I'm making like a sci-fi thing, or if I'm making a comedy, I want to put that away and make it like the best.
You're focused on doing this thing. I've been feeling that way a lot with videos lately, with music videos, where it's like when I first started making music videos, like I made a few rap videos, and like I remember the rap videos were like this slice of life indie style, because that was what I was trying to fulfill for myself, because I was like a repressed filmmaker. Mm-hmm. But now I'm like, I've done enough music videos now, like I'm directing them, like I have the creative control to be like, okay, like now I care more about like what does this artist need to be shown in? You know what I mean? Because when I did those, it was like shitty, because like I feel like a lot of times rap videos don't need that like indie slice of life kind of aesthetic to it. You know what I mean?
I don't know. I mean, I get what you're saying, because you're basically saying you want to portray the artist as the best version of themselves.
Yeah, exactly. And that I feel like as a filmmaker, you can be very explorative in that, because then that way you're doing a bunch of different things instead of trying to just do the one thing that you can do.
I think ultimately with art, I think it's important to not think too much about like what people want to see, or getting comfortable, or doing what's expected.
Yeah,
I think art is most interesting when it's unexpected. So I really like contrasting ideas. So I think if you want to take a rap video and make it a slice of life thing, I think that can be very beautiful. So I wouldn't even say what you're doing is inherently bad, but like,
I think I don't disagree with you. I think just when I was doing that, it didn't fit with the artist the way it needed to.
Right.
And I feel like I completely agree with you.
You were kind of putting
Turn
something
everything on its head. Like, I'm all about that. Mm-hmm. But, like, still make it fluid. Still make it cohesive. You know what I mean? Because if you turn shit on its head for the sake of turning shit on its head, then you got, like, donuts and mustard, and that shit's just not going to taste good. You know what I mean? Like,
that's the thing. I think that you can subvert expectations, but everybody still has to be on board and feel like it fits, because I think a good example is back when I was planning on directing like my first music videos with QWERTY, I had like a number of different pitches, and one of them was going to be comedy centric, and you know, he's also a comedian, so that's no problem.
Yeah.
But the type of character I wanted him to play was much, you know, he's kind of a lower energy guy. He's like kind of
I feel like his delivery is probably a lot more based off of like really clever lines, or like moments with his reactions and stuff like that.
I was going to be having him play a character that was like a bit goofy and doing stuff that,
like, eccentric almost.
Sure. And I remember when I pitched it to him, he was like, I wouldn't play that type of guy. And I was initially a little disheartened, because I felt like, oh, but if we just did it, it would be good. Mm-hmm. But the problem is like, if he feels that way, while we're making it, it's not going to turn out good.
He can't be uncomfortable, because it's like,
you got to
be like, I feel like like you gotta have it when people like resonate with it. I've had projects that I've brought to people, to like DPs or like really anybody in the industry, not just actors, and being like, hey, you want to do this with me? And they're like, nah. And at first I'm upset, but most of the time they're not like, no, this sucks. They're like, no, this doesn't speak to me in the way that I kind of think it should.
Yeah.
And when I get that, I feel like you're hurt by it, but it's also like, well, at least they were honest, because if they didn't care that much, it probably wouldn't turn out that good.
I think if you think an idea is good enough, there is something to be said about selling somebody on something, because I think there's also plenty of times where somebody like and initially was a no, and then it turned out to be like a masterpiece.
Yeah.
You know, because sometimes people don't even know like how they're capable of being seen as an artist, because I think people put like an identity around themselves a lot.
Totally.
And so if they're presented something, whether or not like a rapper is being shown a beat that's nothing like they normally get on, or like a video concept that's not like their usual tone, and they say no initially, if you think if you as the other guy, if you think it's a really good idea, I think sometimes it can be worth talking to them about it and like saying like, no, like you would fit great within this, you just haven't done it yet.
That's facts.
But if it doesn't work, then it just doesn't.
Yeah. I've been trying to like explore more back into rap, kind of tying this back in, because like I want to do something different, because I feel like
you guys have been doing mostly hyper pop.
Well,
right?
no, I'm talking more personally, because I've mostly been doing like pop music right now, soft pop, like indie pop type stuff. I would say somewhere in that, mostly indie pop stuff, which I like. And I just did an indie band, and like I want to do more indie bands. Like I think that's just my voice kind of fits the best in that area. But now I'm like, but I love rap music, so I'm like, if I can make rap music, like, and I like trap or like stuff like that too. So I'm like, if I can make videos that are interesting for that, that would be just a good exercise.
Who are your favorite musicians?
I really like
You can name really famous people. You don't have to say all these.
No, I'm just trying to think of who. I'm trying to think of who like I would say is my favorite. I feel like do you feel me where like you're just listening to people at a certain point and then you kind of move into somebody else?
Yeah, I think what I've realized lately about favorites lists is like we should almost have a new favorite every year.
Yeah.
Because you kind of change in life.
Yeah, exactly. And like okay.
Well, what do you like lately?
Right now, I love beabadoobee. I've been on her for like 6 months. I've been like,
oh, is she yeah, I found her recently.
Yeah,
she's great.
She's awesome. She blew up with that Powfu song, because she's like the don't fade away for too long, don't go away. But her music is great, and watching her career, because she's like three years into like being like a big pop star, pretty much like a big name out of the UK, and like her earlier stuff is this really cute bedroom dream pop, but her last two projects are like straight up indie artists. Well, like she's got the band involved with her now, and like
her music videos got recommended to me, and they're really well done. And I just remember thinking that it kind of reminded me of like Zoe 101, like early 2000s.
Yeah, well, she's got a Y2K look to her. I actually worked with some of her directors in their earlier videos. I like produced a video for them. They're really cool people.
Who are they?
They're called Bedroom Projects. They had done like a lot of her earlier stuff, and they done her earlier stuff. They did a video with like the 1975 and stuff like that, and I had worked with them a few times. No, not a few times. I worked with them one time. I worked with them one time back in November, and it was cool. They're really great.
Sweet.
Yeah.
What as far as like music you've really liked like since forever, like has there been go-tos like
I'm trying to think. Damn. I feel like it's like not forever, but it's like someone always sticks around. You know what I mean? Like I think when I was really young, I really liked like 60s classic rock, and I would like still love Simon and Garfunkel. But then like if you ask me in the last 5 years, I feel like things like obviously like Frank Ocean have always been like stuck on me. Right now, it's like a lot of Brent Faiyaz. I really love Brent Faiyaz. I think his last album was really interesting, and like it felt like a really juicy drama. I've liked Kamo for a long time. Have you heard Kamo?
I don't know that.
He's like a hyperpop artist.
Okay.
And he's like this really talented kid where he can make a really beautiful, dramatic, like reflective pop song, and then he makes like a bop, like a summer bop that you're like feel like you're like running in a field listening to, and then he makes like a hype song where it's like you're just singing the hook and you're just having a good time. I've always loved his music a lot. I like this guy named Vlush, who's like a Childish Gambino, Frank Ocean love child, but he's like this 32-year-old white dude.
That's cool.
Who blocked me once my Instagram got hacked, and I'm really sad about it. But like,
why? Were you said it was the hacker sending crazy messages?
Yeah, he was sending messages to everybody, and like a lot of people.
Wait, when you got hacked, you were trying to get people to buy a Lamborghini.
Well, he was like, I think it was like a Tesla or something like that, or a Porsche.
Yeah.
No, it was a Mercedes. He was pulling a Mercedes off a trailer.
Yeah,
that shit sucked.
I remember I was like messaging back.
Yeah, no, I know a lot of people were, because I finally got my Instagram.
Well, no, I knew it was fake. I was just having fun.
All the people who I feel like know me on a personal level, when they got those messages, they'd be like, "Fuck you," or some of them would be like, "Give Lucas his account back."
Oh, no,
I
was like, "How much ETH for the Lambo?" I was like, really, I was trying to like get him going.
Yeah, that's fucking hilarious.
I lost my digital wallet. Yeah, it's crazy how often people get hacked lately.
Yeah, it sucks. Honestly, like, it's just, if they get a gullible person, then they're just in it.
But you know what?
I'm a gullible person.
We know someone who their account got taken over, and the hackers posted a deep fake selfie video of her. And they did her voice.
Oh, that's weird.
Because to replicate people's voice now, you only need like 2 sentences.
Yeah, and then you can just get.
So you're fucked right here.
Yeah. Oh damn! So they could replicate everything.
I'm pretty replicatable.
Yeah, because you release videos with all your podcasts, right?
Yeah,
so like,
yeah.
You're done, bro.
I think we're gonna get to a point though where everybody will be.
Totally.
And like, I don't know. I have a bit of despair about the future of like deep fakes. I think we're just gonna get to the point where we just don't trust most video.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it's gonna be like one of those things where it's like, you can kind of tell that it's not real. You know what I mean? Yeah, but you just can't be tricked by it. Like this guy who hacked me, it was on another person's account. It was like a filmmaker out here, and she had asked me questions in the past. So I'm like, if you got like a Phoenix-based filmmaker who's asking me a question, like, I'm gonna just fall into it. I'm gonna do the benefit of the doubt just to help them out. And like, so I'm like, yeah. And she was like, can you help me get back in my Instagram? And like, me being a gullible person, I was like, I got you. And then I got hacked.
I think if anyone is ever asking you to purchase gift cards,
or
if anyone is ever asking you for a password reset,
can you help me into my account? Can you, random person? Yeah.
That's where it's like, call me.
Dude, I told my mom about that. My mom's like 67, like she's kind of older, and she was like, "Why did you do that?" And I was like, "Damn, I'm like this person is so not as aware of technology as me." It was like,
well, I found out recently actually. Do you know the channel Kit Boga?
No.
He's this guy who he's like very smart with technology, so he'll take on these like Indian call scammer people.
Really?
And he will fuck with them for upwards of like days.
Oh, that's sick.
Like, because he has like a virtual computer and like a fake bank account. He can like really let them waste their time.
Yeah.
And I was listening to an interview with him on H3 recently, and he was saying that the demographic of people that get the victims of these scam calls are the biggest demographic is actually like 18 to 35. It's not old people.
It's not old people. Well, I feel like old people are like, I feel like they're more wise to like most things kind of like that.
Well, I think the thing that could be skewing the data is that if old people don't know that they got scammed, they're not reporting it.
That's facts.
So it might not even be totally accurate polling, you know what I mean?
Sorry.
No, you're good.
What were you saying?
No, you're good. I'll do something funny later. So you were saying earlier you like really liked like 60s bands like Simon and Garfunkel. Do you ever look at like older music videos from back then?
No, I don't really like a lot of them, honestly. I feel like I like music movies, like the Beatles movies from like the 60s, and I love like Spike Jonze music videos. But like, I've done a few videos where people have come to me as a producer or as a director, and they've come to me and they've been like, I want to replicate because like we're having this huge like pop punk revival, and they want to like do an homage to like a band from like the 90s or something like that, and I just like, I get like the nostalgia core. I honestly like, I get the nostalgia core around it, but I don't really I'm not interested in recreating that style. I'm not too interested in like nostalgia core in general. Like that's never been something that's like super.
Well, I think nostalgia for nostalgia's sake can get
it's too much butter on the popcorn.
Well, it can feel kind of product-y, and I'm just very adverse to anything that feels like a corporate think tank that's trying to figure out what I like.
That's what I mean, and like I don't know, I just feel like if let's say I wanted to write a movie and I wanted it to take place in the 80s, then I'd have it look like the 80s, but the beginning of that thought is not going to be the 80s.
Well, what I liked about Jonah Hill's movie mid-90s is he was saying in interviews that he was very adverse to like having nostalgia in it. Like he is nostalgic.
It's called mid-90s.
Well, yeah, he's nostalgic about that era, and that's why he's making the movie, but he said he wanted to more so, you know, make it feel like what it was like to be that type of kid back then, rather than just like shoving like, you remember this, you know, back in people's faces.
Remember Moon Shoes? Like
and so like, you know, when they designed the older brother's bedroom, like the shot where it went over all of the CDs or whatever, I think he was saying like that was like the most nostalgia porn that was in the whole movie. You know?
Well, I feel like, again, like when you do it like that, it's great. It's like, I feel like there's a lot of films that take place in like the 50s and 60s that doesn't present like nostalgia core, but it's like I feel like Mad Men is a good example of that, where you're like in the 50s, and like there's a definitely romantic aspect to that time because everything was just so cut and clean. Yeah. But at least like aesthetics go, you know what I mean? But also like it doesn't feel like they're shoving like that down your throat, you know what I mean?
I've had an idea for a long time that maybe whenever I make a debut feature film, it would be a movie called 2007, and I'm just very fascinated with that year. Yeah. And
well, I mean that makes sense. How old are you in 2007?
I would have been a 6th or 7th grader.
Yeah. So you were like what, 12? 13?
I was born in 96.
You're born in 96?
So yeah, 11.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So I was like a 6th grader. Yeah. And the thing is like lately as an adult, I've had a lot of thoughts about like what it was like to be like a kid growing up in the 2000s. But I would want it to be more like a slice of life movie about like a family or like a kid or something like that. And I think it would be really cool to include certain elements, you know, but it's like you look at it is fun, but you look at how like Stranger Things, right? You know, like season 2 in particular was just like 80s, or like the new Wonder Woman 1984.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly. See, I didn't even watch. I watched the first season of Stranger Things, and I was like, this is just not me. I like sci-fi too, but I only really like sci-fi like. I don't like. I'm not like. Oh God, I feel like I sound so assy when I say this.
Well,
but
like
I don't like lore. I don't really care that much about it. Like, there's certain things I like about it, but that's not. Again, it's not gonna pull me in. Like, my favorite sci-fi movies are movies like Arrival or Ex Machina, where it's like these really particular situations that feel very almost like dystopian, but like really close dystopian towards like our timeline.
Well, those are movies where you could honestly get rid of the sci-fi elements, and like the main points of those movies I think that they're very much so about like people and human emotions.
Like a humanist kind of sci-fi film is definitely my favorite type. Yeah. And like I just watched I had COVID back in February, and I watched Lord of the Rings for the first time. Those are fucking awesome movies. I watched them and I was like, okay, I get it. Like, I get the hype. Like, am I going to watch them again? Probably not, unless maybe I have, like, kids one day or something like that. And I'm like, you should watch this. Because I didn't watch them as a kid, but I would totally... If I was, like, 10, I think I would have geeked the fuck out of those.
My favorite world-building type of fantasy stories, I would say, are The Last Airbender and Harry Potter.
Oh, The Last Airbender. And, see, but I grew up on those, and I feel like I hit a good mark with that. I'm just, like I never got into Game of Thrones, because, like... As an adult, I have not been that interested in anything lore-based. Like, I know, like, probably, like, I would say I still have, like, 90% of the Pokedex up to the Sinnoh region, like, in my brain, because that hit me at that good age. Yeah. But now it's, like, I don't know the rest of them because I left that age. You know what I mean?
So I'm, like, a little bit older than you. So Sinnoh was when I was in middle school. Yeah. And then Pokemon Black, I think, came out around when I was, like, a freshman or something.
Yeah, so Pokemon Black came out... No, that can't be true, because I was entering high school when Pokemon Black came out.
Oh, really?
I think yeah.
Pokemon Y came out when I was a senior in high school. So Black and White.
That... Really?
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe, because I think I was in 7th grade when heart gold and soul silver. Not to the guy. You were like, okay, maybe I'm wrong about that.
No, you're good. Dude, but the point is I stopped playing after Gen 4 Sinnoh, like what you're talking about, and like now I've been picking stuff back up.
Yeah,
but yeah,
I want to get back into it just because I feel like it's the only thing that gives me real peace in this world. Is like playing. Yeah.
Have you played Legends of Arceus?
No, is it good?
Do you know about it?
I know about it. Yeah.
Yeah. So
you know who actually showed me the trailer for that? Fucking Jay.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah. It was like a year ago. He was over at my house. We were drinking beer, and he told me about it. I was like, "What?" He was like, "You gotta check this out."
I mean, I'm not alone. It wasn't a novel idea, but I've been wanting like a Breath of the Wild-esque Pokemon for since Breath of the Wild.
I've wanted it I wanted it before it was like even a real idea. You know what I mean? Like I just remember I was like, because like I feel like if you love Pokemon, like. I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, I was like, "This is bullshit. Like, why aren't Pokemon real?" Like, that was like my mentality when I was a kid.
I remember my mom one time, when I was like a little kid, explained to me the idea of like infinite universes and like multiverse theory.
Wow, that's crazy.
She was, I don't know. We weren't like a religious household, so I grew up watching Pokemon and Harry Potter, so arguably like some fun lore stuff.
Yeah,
and,
totally.
Like, so we would just talk about like cool ideas, and I remember one time she was telling me. Like, yeah, I had a college professor once who explained to us that the universe is infinite big, and so because of that, in theory, if you went far enough, you would find another Earth where
probably had Pokemon,
where there's other versions of us on it, and and so she was basically saying like if you can imagine something, there's like a possibility exists. And I just remember thinking like, man, there's a version of me out there that has Pokemon.
That's
and
crazy.
I was like mad about it.
Yeah, you're like, why was this not me?
yeah, exactly.
All right, so what's your favorite Pokemon game, and what's your favorite Pokemon?
Well, game is Emerald, and that's the correct answer.
Oh, you're correct. That's like. No, that's not the correct answer.
This is the most common answer.
I feel like it's just not. I feel like Pokemon's not a correct answer because it's usually like. Okay, so how old were you when those games dropped?
Okay, hold on.
like you were like.
I see what you're doing.
Well, it's just that's what you came up with. Like,
all right, I will admit.
Don't make Pokemon right or wrong. This is like.
I'm being a little facetious, but I do think Emerald is just like so.
It's cracked. I played it a few times.
It's so good.
Yeah.
So
who's your starter in Emerald?
Mudkip for sure.
Oh, that's fire. Well, that was my first one. The first time I ever played it. I mean, Ground and Water. That's a good combo.
So, all right. So my favorite Pokemon as a kid was Bulbasaur.
Really?
Yeah, and like with the original 150.
That's a mid take.
Well, he's just, I don't know, he's cute, he's a good guy.
I'm
favorite color is green, and he's also number one, the first one.
Yeah.
But anyways, I love Bulbasaur as a kid, and with Red and Blue and Gold and Silver. So I watched the show, I had the cards, but my older brother owned the games, and so he would let me play them, but I wasn't allowed to hit save. So like I could mess around, but like it was his game, you know what I mean? And so when Ruby and Sapphire came out, I was like fucking hyped because I was gonna own my own Pokemon game and it was gonna be in color. And so I got Sapphire, and then from then on I got Sapphire, Ruby, Emerald. Like I was getting the duplicates even.
Yeah, because you were like, I just got to do the different. Yeah. There's something about that game that like you're like, I don't care that it's a little bit different. I'm willing to play it again. Well, because it's like
different how,
like. Getting Diamond versus Pearl.
Oh, right.
Yeah, because like Emerald is different because Emerald is like it's like halfway through the game becomes different. You know.
Well, every Pokemon game they release two that are basically identical, and then years later they make a third one, which is kind of like a remaster.
Yeah, it's like they're like, okay, like I came up on Sinnoh. Like that was the first games that I played. My first Pokemon game ever was Diamond.
That's cool.
I started with Chimchar. People give me shit for Chimchar.
No, that's the right choice.
You think so?
Yeah, he's
my like best friend is a Turntwig ride or die Turntwig.
I was going over this with my roommate Mark. He's like a very big Pokemon. And
did I play Smash against him one time?
Yeah.
He just like annihilated me.
Yeah.
I remember.
Yeah.
I see. I can like see the edit in my head. Like,
yes. We're gonna cut to you. Dude, okay. Here's my thing. I've had people tell me before that they don't like Chimchar and Infernape. I'm like, he's a fire monkey. What's cooler than that?
He's fighting. But people are like, the thing is, they're like, you got Charizard and you got Primeape, and it's like whatever. Infernape is like you put them together.
Infernape is cooler than Blaziken. I'm saying it.
That's fire. That's a fire take. But people like that's hot. That's a hot take. I'm with you.
I don't know. I mean, listen, Blaziken is obviously amazing and shit, but Infernape is so cool.
Can I tell you something kind of personal?
Yeah.
When I was a kid, I had a dream that I had a real life Torchic, and I remember like seeing its feathers and being like, "This is insane." And then I woke up and I cried for like a day because I was like, "Damn, it wasn't real." Like
my older brother. So I used to sleepwalk a lot as a kid. My brother.
Hold on. Sorry again.
No, you're good. It's a really good story. No, I'm kidding.
I just keep getting fucking phone calls.
No, you're fine.
Oh God, I'm gonna put this on Do Not Disturb, and I hope something bad doesn't happen.
I'm gonna act. Let's see if I can cut in.
Okay.
Let's see if I can like pull it off and
Okay.
like pretend that didn't happen.
All right.
I'm just gonna leave all this in. No, what? So there was this one time when I was a kid, and I sleepwalked a lot back then.
Yeah.
Apparently, I don't know if it was my brother or my mom. They found me in the living room, and I was like surrounded by like my baseball trophies. Mm-hmm. This might be two different stories, but point is, apparently one time I was like sleepwalking, and I was like, "Vulpix, don't go!" Like I was like,
"Oh man, that's so sad."
Yeah.
I'm just picturing it in my head with like the music they would use in a Pokemon episode where you'd lose the Vulpix. You know what I mean?
Butterfree.
Yeah, like, dude. I had a fire red save, and I was like, I'm going classic mode. I'm raising a Charizard. Mm-hmm. I'm raising a Golem. I'm raising a fucking Raticate and a Butterfree and a Pidgeot. Only 2 of those Pokemon made it. Really made it. It was the Charizard and the Pidgeot. Every one of those fucking downpour of lack of success.
You mean like you replaced them by the end? Or
I just didn't use them. First off, Eradicate is the biggest piece of trash Pokemon to ever exist. It has such a limited life source.
Well, the thing about replaying Pokemon, because Diamond and Pearl came out when I was like a 6th grader in like 2007 or so.
Yeah, I was in 3rd grade when that came out.
That's so crazy. See, I was in like 3rd grade when like Ruby and Sapphire
exactly. So,
came out.
But that's what I'm saying. That's why Emerald's the best to you. You know what I mean? Platinum is my favorite, and it's like shout out Pokemon XD though.
Yeah.
Right? Like
Platinum is great. I've been having. Okay, I don't know if you'll relate to this or not, but I feel like as a young adult, it's been very easy for me to be nostalgic around like when I was like a little kid, like in elementary school.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
And because of that, naturally I get nostalgic around, like you're saying, Game Boy Advance Pokemon, amongst other things.
Malcolm in the Middle, like,
yes.
Yeah.
And, and if I'm not being nostalgic about that, I'll be nostalgic about high school, because that's like when I was becoming a person and having friends. And I think what that leaves is it kind of leaves middle school as this like almost lost era that I don't think about.
Yeah.
And now that I'm getting older, I'm 26 now. Now it's like my nostalgia parameters are like shifting with me. So lately I've started to get like nostalgic about shit I liked in middle school for like the first time in my life. So I think where like I used to like, just love and romanticize Ruby and Sapphire and Emerald so much, this last year I've been like really into like Diamond and Pearl and all the music from those games, because the truth is like I was still a kid in middle school and I played Diamond and Pearl like a bunch of times, and they were really good games. Like in other words, I've spent a lot of my life in those games. I don't think about them too much.
Because they weren't like they weren't the first one. Yeah, they were like the next one.
But now that I'm getting older and that's becoming more of like does this make sense?
Yeah. I fell out of love with video games like as like a big part of my life in middle school. That was when I kind of started realizing that it's just not something I'm at a point now where like I want to switch, because that would give me probably fulfillment for video games for the next 10 years. It's all I need. You know what I mean? But like every time you look at the camera, I'm like, this is just fucking ridiculous. But
you got your own.
I got my own. Yeah, you're right. I should just start like
have fun. You want laser fingers?
That'd be sick. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, so that was when I was like really getting into like music and TV and things that I think I just liked a lot more.
Yeah.
And so like I think the only video game I still played video games in middle school though, because like I fucked up GTA 5 like 5 times. And like I played like I always played Pokemon. Pokemon became like the scapegoat. Like, I'm just gonna play this whenever I'm feeling like stressed out or I just want to play a game.
It's
like
very easy go-to.
Yeah, and what's cool is that like as an adult, it's like now when I play Pokemon, I'm like, all right, like what's a Pokemon I just haven't tried yet? You know what I mean?
Right.
And that's like been a big thing. Like a later Pokemon that I love that I didn't know until I was probably like 19 was Vaporeon. I love Vaporeon.
You didn't know Vaporeon as a kid?
No, I never had one. Like I never trained with one, and I'm like, oh wow, this is a great. Like, you know, with Vaporeon, like if you water Pokemon attacks you with water, you just heals it. Such a good like little like it's just shit like that.
Back when Eevee only evolved into 3, that was my favorite one.
That was your favorite one?
Yeah.
I was actually a Flareon fan, which is such a bad take because Flareon sucked.
Flareon was 2 for me because I don't know, Jolteon just like
Yeah.
I wasn't too into it. Yeah, no, I really want to play Black and White because those are like the final ones where it was like, you know, small pixel art. And I've actually heard a lot of the most common Pokemon games I've heard be considered best are Emerald, Black and White, and then the Heart Gold, Soul Silver remakes.
I've heard that Black and White was like, I've only heard negative things about Black and White.
Well, I've been getting a lot of Pokemon content on TikTok lately.
Oh yeah.
And when Black and White stuff comes out, I see in the comments Gen Z kids saying, "This game was hated so much when it came out, but it's one of the best ones."
It's actually one of the best ones. I wonder.
Yeah.
Huh. I love the Heart Gold Soul Silver remakes, which I think they did that so right because I feel like doing it where like I didn't play Johto League at all until I was probably like 11 or 12 because I didn't have like gold and silver and stuff. And then on top of that, making the Kanto region games, which I feel like had already been redone with like the Fire Red and Leaf Green, but doing it where they're really difficult and they're like high end like gyms.
Yeah.
I think that was such a cool idea.
Well, yeah, what was really cool about Gen 2 is like when you beat Gold and Silver, you can travel back to Kanto and then go through Red and Blue, and they've never done that again since.
That was such a good way to just re-release. They didn't do it with the Hoenn re-releases.
There's never been another game where you can go to another region.
Did you play the Hoenn re-releases?
Yeah.
Nah? You'd rather just play Ruby, Sapphire. Okay. What about did you play the Sinnoh re-releases? I don't even know if I would touch those.
You know, a lot of people hate the chibi art style. I liked it.
Oh, me too.
So here's what I like about it. Now that Pokemon, they're kind of making it more like Zelda looking, you know, where you're like a full scale person. They had to go through this awkward phase where
that was with the X and Y games too, right?
Yeah, X and Y was the same art style as the Ruby Sapphire remakes, and it was like kind of this a little bit of an odd in between.
Yeah,
I actually liked X and Y, but when it came to the remakes for Ruby and Sapphire, I just felt like I can just be playing the original. That's kind of better, and I feel like they've also been kind of progressively making a lot of Pokemon games easier. And so with the Ruby and Sapphire remakes, they were a bit easier, which was annoying to me. And so
that's upsetting because Soul Silver and Heart Gold were fucking difficult, and those were remakes.
Yeah,
like they made them challenging.
As far as the Diamond and Pearl remakes go, I kind of liked that they had it in their head like, okay, we're gonna remaster these with like newer graphics, right? And instead of completely changing the art style and making it like a full size person and you're like running around in Sinnoh, I like that they kept all the proportions the same and everything's tiny as if it's sprite art, but then it's like modern like 3D models.
Yeah.
And I know that I totally get why, like as a taste thing, some people just don't like the way how chibi stuff looks. I think it's cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I didn't buy it just because I was already emulating Platinum and I was like halfway through and I'm like, oh well, I'm just gonna start over for $60.
You're playing like the Orange League or something like that.
Yeah,
right?
That's a fan made game.
How'd you do that?
I'll explain.
Yeah.
So I hacked my 3DS recently.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I have it here. Let me grab it.
I have a DS Lite. Can I do that? Or is it too old?
I don't know.
Because I would do the fuck out of it. I want to play that game so bad.
So
what? It's called the Orange League, right?
Yeah.
Tracy's in that, right?
Yeah. So I have a 3DS XL, and essentially I put a 128 gigabyte SD card in here. And you can just follow this guide online.
Okay.
And actually, this is very important because if you don't do this soon, you'll never be able to in the future.
They're gonna take it down.
So here's what's going on. You're more or less installing all this like custom firmware that you can get online. Yeah. It's very easy. You just follow a guide step by step. The thing is the way it works is you have to download a free game from the 3DS store Nintendo is closing the 3DS store permanently soon. So if you don't download this free game...
Oh, I don't think I could probably do this because they don't got the Nintendo store on the DS Lite.
Okay, then I get... Yeah, well, just to finish up for anybody who's curious, now you've opened this can of worms.
Yeah, go ahead.
So basically, you follow this guide, you install this custom firmware, and it makes it to where now you can like go on a website and download like ROM files of like every 3DS game, every Game Boy game ever. And since I have 128 gigs, like I'm not running out of space anytime soon. So I just have tons of games on here. But what's cool is that people make like fan-made games, you know? So I found Pokemon Orange Islands where in the show, season 2 is where Ash goes to the Orange Islands, you know, with Misty and Tracy. And what's cool is that region doesn't exist in the games. It was like a completely like show
No, but I was in it. That's where Pokemon 2000 was in. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
it was really cool. And that's like, it was a completely show invented place. And so some fan created a completely functional game where it's in the same art style as Gen 3. So like Ruby, Sapphire, Fire Red.
That was directly after the Kanto seasons, right?
Yeah.
Before Johto.
Yes.
I feel like that show also showed off Pokemon that just weren't really talked about in like the earlier seasons of the Kanto region. Oh, my bad.
Yeah, the Orange Island season did something interesting where like they had an episode where they went to an island and all the Pokemon were pink because they were eating berries and it was turning them pink. So in the game, the way it works is you play as Ash and you go and you're playing through the plot of the show.
Do you have his Pokemon? Like,
so if you go to Professor Oak, you can pick them up. Yeah. It's really sweet.
Oh, that's cool.
It's really sweet.
Oh, I want to play this game.
It's real. You can just get it on PC.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
okay, cool.
Just using an emulator.
Yeah.
Really easy.
Oh, my God, I have a PC. That's great. I have a PC for the first time in, like, the last 6 months.
Well, any computer. You could do it on a Mac.
Yeah, but PCs are, like...
Yeah.
They're, like... Yeah. Like, I was, like, one of those all-Mac kids. Because I, like, grew up, like, editing videos on Final Cut Pro and stuff. And,
Yeah.
And then I met a bunch of real gamers. Because I wasn't a gamer when I was a kid. I was a theater boy.
Right.
And then all my friends became, like, ex-Minecraft gamers. And they were, like... This is how computers work. And I was like, you guys know what's up. Like,
yeah. So my thing about like PCs versus Macs is like the MacBook is like my favorite laptop.
Yeah.
I don't know. And I know it's weird because in theory it's a computer. Why would it be different between just being on your lap versus on your desk? I don't know why. I like using a laptop MacBook for like very simple things.
Yeah.
Like just going on YouTube and like even I like Photoshop on a MacBook a lot because of how big the trackpad is.
I actually do too, yeah.
But in general, when it comes to like doing like big stuff on a computer, like maybe running After Effects or like, you know, Blender and all this stuff. Well, since you're building it from scratch, you can, you know, buy really powerful parts and like get like a really powerful computer.
Yeah.
I feel like years ago, before the market exploded, you could get a PC that costed less. You could get a PC that costs less than a Mac and was more powerful.
Yeah. I think you could still buy a PC that would be less than a Mac.
Yeah,
especially an iMac. Like if you're going PC to iMac, totally.
Yeah.
iMac's like $6,000 if you want to get it like
really? I didn't know that.
If you want to get a good spec'd out like dude, okay, so like I actually need to get a new laptop right now cuz my laptop monitor is like fucked up and I want to get another MacBook because I'm on the same page as you. I have a PC. I would never buy an iMac, but I really like the MacBook laptops. I am thinking about switching over just because it's like fucking laptops are also like what's gonna break easier, a laptop or a PC? A laptop's gonna break easier.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I've just been pricing them out. First off, MacBook Pros are already like $600 above your average Windows laptop, easily. If you want to get like when I'm saying like a good one, like for me, I would get like a terabyte SSD and like at least 16 gigs of RAM. Like,
well, Josh Belleville, I remember he years ago got like an Asus laptop that was like really souped up, well, and it was like working as well as his PC. But but that was like 2015. So it's like
Tommy has a Razer right now that he can, and he got that laptop because you know he's like deep in that After Effects shit. So he was like, I'm gonna get a laptop that I can like really edit on.
Something I need to talk to Tommy more about is Adobe like sucks right now. It's crashing and slowing down like so much.
Yeah. No,
does he complain about this?
You know, I don't mean to speak on his behalf, but what I do know his opinion on this, where he's so deep into After Effects at this point that he's not And he's not like just an editor. That's just one of many things he does. So his whole thing is like, I'm not going to deal with this. Like he's like, I don't care even if it's crashing, because it would just take him too much time to like relearn a software. So I think he feels it, but he just doesn't. He knows the software so well, he doesn't really care that much. But like Matt, my friend Matt, who does VFX editing,
So I'll get to
no, totally. My friend Matt, who does like a lot of VFX editing, he's like completely done with After Effects, and like. I have a bunch of other friends. I don't think I would leave it because I'm not a VFX editor. Mm-hmm. I edit for like I cut and then I use Photoshop. So I'm like, this is still the best software for me.
Well, see, I've used Photoshop.
I like Adobe fonts too. I think Adobe fonts and color wheels are really helpful.
I've used Photoshop and Illustrator since like I was a middle schooler. Yeah. And so that makes bringing those things into After Effects really easy.
Exactly. Yeah.
After Effects, I think, is like really great for motion graphics, and then as far as it comes to like all the other like more like CGI type things I do in After Effects, sure, it can be a powerful tool. I mean, that's why I use it. But lately, I feel like, and honestly, Premiere, in my opinion, has been worse than After Effects. But for me, at least, performance has just been super down lately, and I've been kind of like Tommy, where I haven't wanted to totally like stop all my work to learn a whole new thing, but I've been kind of considering it because my buddy Michael Scott, who's like the best visual effects artist I know, he does like really crazy 3D stuff in like Blender and like all these other programs, you know. He grew up on After Effects, like that was his shit. Yeah. And he doesn't even have it installed on his computer anymore now.
Really?
Like, yeah, because like a lot of people between he uses Nuke as well. Yeah. A lot of these other programs are like node based editing.
Yeah.
And
even I know DaVinci's not node based, but it's like node emulated or something.
It is, yeah.
Is it node based?
I think it's like a different way of doing it.
I'm thinking Blender's not node based, but there's
it is.
Is there really?
Yeah.
Matt was showing me something the other day, and it was like it had like node commands or something. I honestly, this is above my pay grade. I don't know.
No, that's okay. I mean, I don't even know like a ton.
Yeah,
I use DaVinci and.
Well, you do use DaVinci for coloring mostly,
right?
Yeah.
But DaVinci now has Fusion, which is a visual effects program within it, and so. I think like I've heard Michael and a lot of other people make the argument that like you can do compositing using like node-based workflows, and so in theory people could composite the way they are in After Effects, but like in Fusion or Nuke or Blender, you know. And so there's a lot of people now who are like wanting to just kind of completely move their workflow away from Adobe. The big thing Michael was telling me is that like After Effects is still so great for motion graphics. And he doesn't do as much of that as I do, so that's where it's like for me it makes sense to keep using it.
Totally. But I know Dylan wants to do. I think he's just completely on DaVinci now because since he's like a pretty much just mostly a full-time DP and colorist, it's like he doesn't really edit that much anymore. Mm-hmm. But he's like, if I were to edit, because he still wants to direct projects, but he's like, if I were to edit, I would just edit in DaVinci.
I want to learn how to edit videos in DaVinci more because I use Resolve for color grading a lot. Mm-hmm. That's like the only thing I've color graded in since 2015. But as far as like doing my primary edits, I do that in Premiere. And lately, Premiere has just been dog shit for me. Yeah. And I'm actually in the process of building a new computer. I got all my parts in the mail.
Nice.
And
you excited?
Yeah, I'm so excited because my current PC I've had since 2015. And this new one, like we're souping up to be really powerful. And so, once I build it, I'm curious to see if Premiere still sucks or not.
Yeah.
Because what Michael was explaining to me is that DaVinci Resolve uses GPU power like more than Premiere does. So if you have like a really nice graphics card, it'll like supercharge Resolve and Blender while Adobe won't be utilizing it.
That's what's going on with Matt. He has a really nice graphics card, but like it doesn't compensate for like the problems that he still has in After Effects.
Yeah.
Which I've seen because we've been working on like 2 projects recently, and like he's been getting them done, but his render times, so I can see the clips. That's like a whole thing that I'm trying to get a lot better about is like I'm learning that like even though I'm a director, I've been handling logistics of filmmaking for so long that VFX and explaining VFX and going over that is such a that's like the most humbling experience I think for filmmaking for me. It's the thing I don't understand the most.
You know, something I was thinking about recently is that I think anybody who wants to be a director or a cinematographer, especially like in Hollywood, I think you're kind of doing yourself a disservice if you don't learn about visual effects to a certain extent. Yeah. And my main reason on thinking of this is like, I think there's a lot of types of filmmakers who they like, you know, like filmy film stuff, you know, and they don't necessarily want like all this like CGI, right?
Yeah.
But the more and more we move into the future, the more movies that you wouldn't even think have CGI do.
It's just such an easy fix and error, and like or just an additive a lot of the time. So it just submerges it more. No, I completely agree.
I think because of this, if you are going to be directing or shooting for CGI, you should have some sort of familiarity on like how to set it up and communicate best with the VFX team.
Yeah.
Because there was that documentary Life After Pi where the VFX team who won the Oscar for Life of Pi was like, their company was going under because the CGI industry is actually like really exploitative. And
dude, I mean, like, I'm going to be honest with you right now, like anybody I've paid to do any VFX for me, I've grossly underpaid them. And like, it's not because I want to, you know what I mean? It's just because like, I'm not making a whole lot of money in the first place. But yeah, no, I mean, it's just a lot of...
It's a lot of hours.
It's a lot of hours. And that's what made me so not into it. And I've done a few things in After Effects. I did a lot of motion graphics when I was younger, and I was like really doing everything on my own. Now I'm like, I go to my VFX artists when I come up with the idea for the video. Yeah. I'm like, hey, can we do this? And I feel like almost every time I don't consult them, if I like, let's say like you're on set, you got to come up with a fix for a fly or something like that. Like you got to just fix some shit in that moment. Usually when I go to my VFX artist, I feel like there's always something that I just didn't do.
Yeah.
And it's not, and I feel bad because I'm working with my friends who are on a fixed rate that I'm giving them, and they know I don't really got any more money. And then they're like, dude, like,
they're like, you couldn't have filmed it this way.
You really just like took 10 hours of my time. And I was like, fucking Jesus Christ. Like,
it's really crazy how the smallest thing can then like add hours.
What I will say is nice is that my producing experience is I produce videos for Tommy, you know what I mean? Who's like probably one of the most like deep why do I say it like that? Like one of the most knowledgeable editors I know, especially in like the DIY VFX space. And like, that has made it easier for me to understand the principles of things, but I think I really needed to hone in on that because it's like I feel like Dylan has a better understanding of VFX than I do because he's shooting for it while I'm prepping for it, which isn't. There's not a lot, honestly, to think about with VFX.
Well, that's the thing. I do a little bit of visual effects, but not that much. I do it mostly because I don't have a team the way that you guys do. I have a bunch of friends who do amazing things, and I try to work with them when I can. But because like I didn't like start a company with other people, you know, it's like a lot of time. I go into a project thinking I'm going to have to do everything, and then I try to bring in people as much as I can because I've been working with like almost no budget. And it's just, like you said, it gets kind of complicated like paying people properly when you don't have a budget.
Well, it's just shitty because you get into this weird situation where you're like, look, I know you're worth more, but I don't have that much. And then also, I wanted to say this to you earlier. So the whole thing with Overcast, the reason we were able to like function that way was that it was basically job assurance. Like, I will get, like, if I get paid work, you're going to be on this if you help me out with the free stuff, which I still think is a pretty effective method. It's just hard because everybody's taking an L at a certain point, but it's in the regard of a bigger gain. You know what I mean?
Well, since you guys were doing it in, like, a banded together way, I assume that kind of formed, like, a we're in it together kind of camaraderie,
Yeah, well, it did, and it's this whole idea that, like, you know, everybody eats mentality, you know what I mean? Where it's like, all right, look, like, if we go up, all we're going to do is pay each other more. You know what I mean? And honestly, I feel like for my group of guys, we're still kind of in that. It's just we're not operating as just one entity anymore. We've kind of just severed, but still are kind of functioning with the same system. You know what I mean?
Do you want to talk about that?
I mean, like, what do you mean? Like,
well, I don't know. I mean, like, have you guys like made an announcement?
No, I don't think that there's like anything to talk about yet as far as that goes. Like, it's like it's just like we're like. I feel like everything is just super in between. I'm starting my own thing, but that's regardless of like what's the situation with Overcast. So I'm starting a company, a production company that I want to market more as a creative agency because I don't want to do a YouTube channel because I don't think I think I'm kind of similar to you where I like doing a bunch of things, and I think that for the way I want to go about it, especially since I'm a producer, having a YouTube channel wouldn't really be the best for it. I want to start a creative agency. I want to call it After School Program, and I'm going to release it I'm gonna like launch it next year. I have like my logos kind of getting figured out right now and stuff like that. But like the idea is that basically it's just a production company where everything that I produce and direct goes underneath it. And I want to focus primarily right now on like music videos and then like product commercials. I'm actually shooting a commercial like next week. It'll be like my spec commercial. And then everything I'm doing narrative wise, like my TikTok stuff, I'll kind of just have it underneath that a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of I like being a character. Like I really enjoy that.
You mean like acting?
Yeah. Like well, not as much like doing the fucking Donald Glover Atlanta Woody Allen kind of thing where it's like you've created a character and like there's like I'm at a point with like my TikToks where like even though there's not a lot of them, I've done them enough times to be like I know what that Lucas would do. And I like thinking that way. I like being like this Lucas would be a lot more paranoid or this Lucas would be like basically like the Lucas that I put in my TikToks is like the Lucas that smoked too much weed and smoked too many cigarettes and now he's just freaking the fuck out. Like,
are you saying like you're playing like a exaggerated version of yourself in your content? Or?
Yeah, exactly. Okay. I'm playing like an exaggerated version because like I started realizing that like the thing I can talk about the most and the thing that I feel like people relate to the most is just when I'm like freaking out. Like, right. You know what I mean? And like, because I feel like I can articulate it well. So then it's like now I'm like, as I started doing it more, I was like, oh, this is my, like, this is like almost a rendition of myself, like an edited, overly dramatized version. And I kind of want to keep that separate because I feel like there's a whole thing I could do with that, but the business would be under that, under after school program.
So if you doing a production company like that, where you would be making music videos and then like product commercials and stuff like that, which is a pretty good way to have consistent work if it goes well.
Yeah.
With you saying you don't want to do it as a YouTube channel, does that basically mean like you'll be directing and producing stuff for people, but it's kind of like you don't really care about being the distribution?
I think I care in like, I think what I've understood about branding is that I'm not interested in doing like a Lyrical Lemonade Overcast platform where I'm like making videos and it goes on this YouTube channel. I would rather just be almost like if I'm doing stuff for music videos, I'd rather it be more of a like quieter creative collaboration where like I'm helping build artists and you just start seeing like my logo on the beginning or ends of their videos. Right. But we're keeping it on their channel and we're building them there. It's just it's less work in an area that I don't want to do.
Right.
And then like, because in my head I'm like, if I'm gonna build a brand, I'm gonna build a brand around me. I'm not gonna do it around artists because of kind of what I was talking about earlier. Like most of my, honestly at this point I'd say like 30 to 40% of my best friends are artists. But like they all have their own path and their own way about going about things. When I'm working with them, I'd rather just help them and try to not guide them, because like it's like there's this quote where it's like, I don't remember who said it. It wasn't Marlon Brando because he had a bad habit of it, but it's like help the director make his movie. If you don't help the director make his movie, it's not going to be good. He did not say that. I don't know why I think Marlon Brando, but he definitely didn't say that. But yeah, help the director make his movie. That's like the whole idea. And to me, it's like I have all these ideas for like the way I would pitch myself on TikTok, the way I would pitch videos, the way I would do this stuff in ways that artists don't really fuck with. And also like, and then I used to get frustrated, and now I'm like, that's fine. I'll just do that for myself, and then I'll just help out other people. And also I think it's the producing aspect, the fact that like I've been a full-time producer for like 2.5 years, and like I do love producing because I like producing for directors that can do things that I don't think I'm capable of. And so it's like, but I need that under my production company because it's still produced by me. You know what I mean? And like that makes me be like, okay, I shouldn't really be running a YouTube channel, but maybe just a creative agency with like a website and stuff. Yeah.
See, the main reason I've done Tallskeleton the way I have is because like when I finished film school, I just knew that I really wanted to just get right into making a bunch of things and like my own things, you know, even if that was like a music video for an artist. But I wanted to approach them just the same way I would if I was directing a short film, you know, make this really good and take it seriously as filmmaking. And my thought was that, you know, through film school, I was putting all my stuff on Vimeo and my personal website, and I don't think that there was any way to really gain traction from those things. I think I was putting a little bit too much stock into, like, staff pics on Vimeo and like these kind of film collegiate things. And my thought was like, well, where do people find cool stuff? And it was like YouTube. And so I just thought like if I make something, like I'd just like it to be in the same place as all the other stuff I make. And so now I've kind of created this content family of things that are very different from each other, but in theory, if you like one, you would like the other, you know? And so I really like having like this family of stuff I make, but I'm not as concerned as like YouTubers about putting out like my weekly or monthly quota, you know?
I think, and I mean, I feel like you've naturally gained an audience at this point too, where you're like, people are starting to really catch on to the vibe. I think I almost like the idea of like having a place from certain things, kind of like you, but like not it all being the same place. You know what I mean? And I also think that it's kind of, I always love discovering when an artist that I like did another piece of work and I didn't know they were affiliated with it. Yeah. Or even like, do you know, like John H. Benjamin, the guy who plays Bob in Bob's Burgers? You know his jazz album?
I forgot about that.
I don't know how to play piano.
I forgot about
when you find out about stuff like that, that's fucking awesome, right? Yeah. Like you're like, that's so sick that he did that. Like, why the fuck? And I think it'd be cool if somebody who became a fan of my directing stumbled upon my TikTok and was like, instead of it being like this is after school program, but then you're like, oh, I like this guy Lucas OM. I've seen a few of his videos. Like he's cool. And then you go on TikTok and you look up my name, and it has nothing to do with these music videos. It's like, yo, this is his whole other thing that he's trying to do.
Yeah, no, that's a good point.
But that's just the way I want to
it makes sense.
It
it's a little tricky for me because I've had that same joy a lot. Because like when I was in high school, I was just like very into Donald Glover's comedy and Community and Gambino, and I was just very impressed and inspired by a person that could do all these different things. So every time I found like another layer to his career, like, oh, he also has these YouTube comedy sketches. Yeah, it was really cool connecting all those threads the way you're describing. I guess as I've gotten older, I've cared a little bit less of being the detective who puts it all together, and I kind of thought like, can I do the work for people and just put it all in one place?
Exactly, yeah.
and that's where it's been exciting for me, getting comments sometimes on a music video or a podcast where they're like, I came here from a video essay, or I came here from this, and I'll get people saying like, it's crazy you make this too.
Yeah,
you know,
I like that too, because sometimes in my TikTok comments there will be people who are like, aren't you in Overcast? And then like that's like a cool feeling to be like, oh yeah, like you know me from one thing, and now you're seeing me in another. And I feel like it can be explained to people in different ways. I just like, I think the thing is with music videos is like, I want to make music videos. I like doing it. I think I'll always do it. But I'm just so not. I've done a lot of music videos at this point, and even though I didn't direct all of them, I've done them. I've done like crazy shit with them, and I'm just not as interested in building that anymore. I'd like to leave that at a certain point, and that's why I'm not really attached to the idea of like having these music videos be on a channel. It's like if I could like, I literally told Tommy this the other day, if I got some guy to invest in me on TikTok and said, I'll give you $1 million, make TikToks for a year, or I'll give you $500K, make TikToks for a year, I'd do it. I'd be way more interested in doing that. I would drop like every video I work on right now and just make TikToks. Because to me, I figured out how to do it where it's like making TikToks is like making videos. You know what I mean? It's just...
Do you get a lot of creative fulfillment out of it?
I get way more creative fulfillment out of it than I have anything else I've done in the last 2 years.
That's interesting.
Because it's like, I'm super inspired by the Neistat brothers. They're two of my favorite filmmakers ever. I feel like that's, if you watch my TikToks, that can be kind of apparent.
That makes a lot of... So is it... Well, when you're doing TikToks, you kind of have to figure out how to do something with like small resources, and you're kind of just like making something out of nothing to an extent. Is it that? Because,
I love that.
The Neistats are very just kind of brass tacks.
It's make something out of nothing. It's not deal with all this bullshit that comes with like working with people and doing things. And fucking just, I don't know. There's just so much bullshit that comes with it that I just am not like interested in. Like, I got more excited. I'm way more excited about how the capabilities of something is than if it's nice. I got a lens kit for my iPhone. It's got a telephoto lens and a macro and a wide angle and like a couple of fucking, you know, whatever filters. That's cooler to me than a set of anamorphic lenses. Because I'm like, wow, I can just throw these on and go outside and make a movie with them. And like,
it's because you can just kind of just get started.
Just fucking do it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it's like getting people motivated, or like when people don't want to do something, especially at like I've been getting paid to do this, but I've been scraping by the last couple of years so that I can make like being an artist a full-time thing. Mm-hmm. So like nobody's going to care about your project as much as you do. So if you can isolate your project down to like pretty much you most of the time, like if you watch some of my TikToks, like some of them are like, I'll have like some of my friends in them just as characters and stuff, but it's so minimal effort. It's like just all about me, and I like that because not like it's like all about me. I'm kind of an attention whore though. Like I like it because it's like I can just crunch them out.
Yeah,
I can just like do them.
Have I talked to you about the filmmaker Joel Haver before?
No.
I'm kind of a broken record with this guy, so I apologize. Yeah. But I don't know. I like what he does a lot. Okay. So he's like our age, or I'm a little bit older, I guess. But he's probably
the same age.
Yeah, we're the same age.
Yeah.
So he's like 26 or so, right?
Uh-huh.
He's from the East Coast, went to film school, got out. He's very uninterested in being in like the film industry and being like a grunt who has to work his way up for years. So a few years ago, he started putting out a short film once a week, and he has never missed a week in the last like 3 or 4 years.
I think you've actually told me about this, or I've heard you talk about it before.
So essentially, most of his short films are comedy sketches, but he's very intentional to still call them that. And he's also put out like 8 feature films on his YouTube channel that he made himself.
That's sick.
And the way he does it is there's no script and there's no lighting. So he relies on a lot of wide shots and a lot of improv and a lot of natural available light.
I bet they're awesome though.
That's the thing, is like when it comes to his comedy, I think it's like consistently hilarious.
Yeah.
I think he's just a very talented comedian and improviser. But then I've watched a few of his features, and I think that they're actually very compelling. And it's like, sure, when you do filmmaking that way, you're gonna be a little bit limited to a certain style.
Yeah.
But it's the style he likes to do, so that doesn't matter.
That's
in his case. And the thing about him and this like general spirit is that he likes filmmaking so much that he doesn't want anything to stop him. So
that's very much how I feel about my TikTok stuff. Is that I don't want to like.
You just want to be able to make something.
Yeah, and that's why I love like the Nice Stack Bros, because they were kind of like that, and I almost like I like busting down on glorification of things, and I think every time Casey Neistat refers to one of his fucking YouTube vlogs as a movie, I think that's important, because I think it makes people understand that like, hey, like it doesn't have to be this flashy shit.
Yeah.
I would much rather watch his, or have you ever seen his brother's YouTube channel, Van Neistat?
No, but I know he's a guy.
It's awesome. It's awesome. It's like really more in that DIY core filmmaker stuff. That I love that shit. I think it's so cool. And like, but yeah, it's like all about making it so that nobody can stop me from doing it. And like, I also just I like doing things that people get annoyed with. I genuinely love that.
Like, how do you mean?
Like, I love that I'm like making, like, I'd make a whole fucking short film on my phone vertically. Like, I'd like to do that, and I like that it bothers people that I'm not utilizing all of these tools that I even have access to. Like,
now, let me ask you, just for curiosity, do you like it because you know that even though it's vertical, it's still good? Or is there a little bit of a troll part of you that just likes that people are annoyed?
I think it's both, honestly, because like, I like pushing people's buttons a lot. Like,
okay.
I've just always been that guy, which can get me in trouble.
Just kind of a sneaky guy, yeah.
Yeah, I just don't like it when people tell me that there's like one way to do things.
Yeah.
And that shit makes me mad. Like, I dropped out of school, you know what I mean? Because I was like, I was in film school, and my screenwriting teacher was like, you have to follow the 8 structures of storytelling. And I was like, all my favorite movies don't follow that. Why the fuck am I here? And then he's like, and then you can get a job at the Sci-Fi Network, working part-time as a writer. And I'm like, that sounds like the fucking worst thing ever.
Yeah. See, that's kind of why I've done what I've done, is because I just kind of similar to what Joel described and kind of what you're getting at, is like, I just didn't love the idea of like you're supposed to move to LA and be a peon for a decade, and then someone maybe will grant you the wish of making what you want to make. And I was like, well, I have stuff I want to make now, and I know a lot of talented people, so I'm just going to start. And my thought was like, well, I have to, if I'm going to make this stuff, I want people to be able to see it. And I'd love to like empower myself to make better things and scale over time.
Yeah.
And so my thought was like a YouTube channel or like a brand would be a good way to do that, because I thought people would care more about an organization than like just some guy named Zane. And my thought is that if they really like stuff that's on Tallskeleton, like if they really liked it, they would look into it and realize like, oh, this guy Zane is the one who's making it.
Yeah.
But and so, yeah, I've just wanted, kind of similar to you, I've just wanted to be able to make things. And I think where I've been so impressed with what you and Tommy are doing is that like you guys are local guys, you know, you're just people in the neighborhood like me, and you guys.
Tommy's not from here, but.
Oh, well, what? Well,
yeah.
he lives here.
Yeah, he's lived here for fucking like 3 years now. So
okay, well, whatever. Yeah. But the point is like, you know, not some like nepotism child from LA, right? You guys are just normal, like
totally.
millennial Gen Z guys. And I've seen you guys scale to working with like bigger and bigger artists, and like I assume with that comes, you know, maybe bigger budgets and stuff. And I saw that you guys recently were just like traveling all across the country and like, you know, doing different videos in different states, like several, like a lot lately, right? You know, you were just in Chicago and LA and New York.
Yeah.
And I think for me, like I think my biggest enemy a lot of the times is like thinking too small and self-doubt, because I think a lot of the time, because I don't really have a budget or I don't know exactly who's going to help me on these projects, I start thinking like, how can I manageably make something?
Yeah.
Or how can I...
It's a producer's curse. I get the problem because I came from coming up with ideas from videos after doing videos logistically for 2 years. Yeah.
And so I want to ask you about that, just like you having that producer brain and how you have gotten to this point where you guys are doing bigger and bigger stuff. Because, and I know you're saying you kind of don't even care about it and you want to do stuff like TikTok that's like maybe easier and the opposite. But I guess like for me, it's like I have these two conflicting paths where I want to do what you're describing, where it's like I want to make easy, quick, fun stuff like sketches with my friends, right? Where I'm not thinking or trying too hard with it. But then when it does come to like the filmmaking, where for lack of better words, it's like more serious or more produced rather.
Yeah.
It's like I have been wanting to raise production value and stuff like that and get into more like advanced, you know, like lighting setups and camera setups, so it can have like production value or whatever.
Can I let me okay. I think I know how to explain. Can I explain to you my plan with TikTok? Like my whole little like evil plan.
Yeah.
So I want to get a show pitch on there. You
want to pitch a show?
I want to pitch a show through TikTok. Yeah,
just by doing proof of concept. Yeah, episodes.
Exactly. By just making a fuck ton of like little bits and sketches. And I feel like right now it's a little weird because I don't think my content is necessarily like a TV show. Yeah. But I feel like it shows that I have an interesting voice. I have like a lot of like familiarity behind the camera as well as in front of the camera, all that kind of stuff. So at one point or another, and also I feel like the way TV is right now is they're signing anything and everything, and they're gonna sign stuff off of popping platforms like TikTok and stuff.
Yeah.
To me, the thing is that I've been doing this independent stuff for so long, like not so long, but I've been doing it for like 2.5, 3 years.
You've been working a lot every day.
Yeah. I've done like over 100 music videos. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, and I've hired people, and I've like fired people, and I've like hired like my friends, and like I've paid people just the bare minimum, and I'm like really sick of it, because like you don't feel good. You feel good about paying people, and then after a year everybody just wants to do it full time, and then you don't feel good because you're underpaying the fuck out of people. Like I feel like your first short film or your first music video where you pay people, it doesn't feel bad because you've been working for free with your friends or whoever for so long that finally paying them is really cool for both of you guys. But then once like you're paying people a lot and you're never really able to pay them that much, at a certain point it just feels really gross because you're asking people to do a lot of work for you. And like what I like now, and I like this a lot with the way me, Tommy, and Dylan have been doing videos, where it's like there's a point where like in the height of Overcast we had like probably like an 11-man consistent crew, and we were trying to get them all on, trying to pay them, trying to do all that kind of stuff. But then, you know, you start underpaying people because it's a lot of people and not a huge production. Now it's like the main people are me, Tommy, and Dylan on our projects, at least as of recently. Most of the time, Tommy's directing them, doing VFX. I'm producing them, Dylan's shooting them. Sometimes the roles switch. I'll be producing, directing. Tommy will be editing, yada, yada, yada. But that's like the thing. With 3 people, we're making it a lot more sustainable for the 3 of us to keep our mouths fed. And at the end of the day, like, before all of this, I was making videos on my own. So was Tommy. So was Dylan. Me and Dylan have been making videos together since we were 15. So like, we can do it with the three of us, and it feels better because we can actually pay each other. It's still not as much as we need to get paid, but we can pay each other a lot. We can pay each other living wages. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So to me, it's like, yeah, like up shit up. But if the money's not there, don't stress yourself. That's the way that I look at it. Like the reason I'm trying to do this whole idea with a show pitch is like TikTok. I get popping off TikTok. I get some brand deals. I can start getting paid. But then at a certain point, I can be like, yo, like, who wants to take this to like a streaming platform? And then I can actually do it with their money.
Yeah.
That's my approach to it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think what's kind of unorthodox about what you're doing in a good way is that you've been a part of this, you know, just to congratulate yourself, like a nationally recognized brand. You know, the YouTube channel got 100,000 subscribers. You guys clearly have fans from all over the country with like, you know, relatively rising artists. You know, you guys did like a little music festival thing. And that's like no small feat. And, you know, you've been the producer doing a lot of the fucking planning and making a lot of this happen.
I honestly can't, like, at the end of the day, like, I was like, with Overcast, the way I look at it is it was just experience for me. Like, a lot of that was really, like, Tommy's ideas and stuff like that.
Sure. I mean, listen, I get that it's a team and all, but just to give yourself some credit, I mean, as the producer, you have a lot to put together, and you did a lot of work. And now you're you're still going to be doing that sort of stuff, it sounds like, you know. But in your own personal artistic fulfillment, you're doing something, you know, with TikTok, which, you know, some people might turn their nose up at, you know, because it's just frivolous social media. And what's funny is, like, between these two worlds you have, like, the polished, highly produced visual effects thing with, like, nice cinema cameras and lighting, and then the stuff you're doing on your iPhone, it's actually this that you're looking at as, like, the golden ticket. That's really interesting.
Well, it's just, at the end of the day, like, I look up to the similar type people. Richard Linklater, for example. Yeah. Richard Linklater had the same mentality that you and I did, where I was like, I'm not going to be a fucking camera PA in LA. Linklater was like, I'm going to make movies in Austin, Texas. He didn't pop off after doing it for like 12 years. But I see my friends who are in LA or in New York working on camera teams or working in production companies and doing that kind of thing. When I'm talking to them, we're kind of on the same page still. We're kind of on the same level. It's just a different industry. I got a friend who works for a pretty big production company, and she does like office work for them. I have a friend who's like one of the best first ACs in the music video scene out in LA right now. I feel like we're kind of on the same plane, because even though I'm a director-producer, I'm not working on nearly as big productions as they are, but I have a bigger role. You know what I mean? And I think it's all about choosing that direction. But when I heard Linklater did that, where he just made movies with his friends for years until something got noticed, I was like, that's just how I would rather spend my time. Yeah. It's also why I didn't want to leave Phoenix for so long, because I was like, this is such a great place to do that.
What's been weird for me lately is everyone I know is leaving.
Dude, it's fucked. And like I feel like
I'm like, stop.
I feel like I'm doing a huge disservice by leaving, just because I feel like we need as many names out there as we can.
We still haven't worked together on something.
Yeah, no, really. We have. I mean, you kind of like assistant edited something for me at one point, but that wasn't really. I mean, I think I was on set for one of your earlier music videos.
I did the lighting for a Cordy video. And
the Eureka video? Yeah.
No. That
Uma, yeah. Yeah, it was.
And you were like a grip for me.
Yeah. I remember that.
Pete filmed it.
Yeah, I remember that was forever.
That's the second time I ever saw you in my life.
Really?
The first, we met
at Pete's house. Yeah.
No, we met at a Ladybird screening.
Did we meet at a Ladybird screening?
Yeah, because Pete came with you, and he was like, "Hey guys, this is my friend Lucas. He's really cool."
Dude, yeah, we did see. I forgot about that. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, Pete took me. Shout out Pete for that. He took me to all those screenings. He took me to the Bo Burnham 8th grade screening.
I was there. Yeah.
That shit was cool.
Yeah.
That was cool.
But to go back a sec before we just talk about movies we like.
Yeah, sorry.
No, you're good. I can do it all day. But yeah, so you're kind of saying how, like, you know, there's these people doing like relatively, you know, bigger stuff, and they're on a different track, and they're kind of like living in LA, and you're doing stuff a little bit more unorthodox, but you feel like you're kind of at the same.
Yeah, because it's like I feel like there's the journey is that we all get to be a creative or an executive head or something like that. Right? That's what everybody wants. If you want to be a big producer, director, VFX artist, some artist, you can go two routes, and you're going to learn things differently there. My homie who's like a first AC, I know he wants to be a director DP. I know the moment he gets there, he's going to know the gear way better than I am. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But like, I'm going to know how to do things with less money. It's just a turn off. It's a trade-off, you know? But, sorry, getting to the...
no, you're good.
The TikTok stuff, though. Like, the reason the whole Casey Neistat thing to me was like, this is just an untapped market. And there's not a lot of filmmakers on there. There's a few filmmakers on there.
I should be making TikToks, huh?
Everybody should, but like
it's so counterintuitive to how I think, but like it's weird because like I've posted shit on TikTok, but just kind of just clips of my other stuff.
Yeah,
I've made a few just like I thought of a joke or something, but the way that you're kind of like I'm gonna tell like a little story in like 1 minute, like I haven't really been doing anything like that.
Do what you just want to do naturally, because I think what people think with TikTok,
I don't want to force
like,
well,
I think people think like, oh, if I do TikToks, I gotta sell out and do the face thing and do the fucking filters and do the fucking sounds and trends and stuff. And it's like, yeah, sure, if you want to get 1 million views on one TikTok, maybe, probably not. You're probably going to be wasting your time. You're also not going to have fun doing it. Yeah. But at the end of the day, like TikTok is like it's like an open-ended market where you can just do whatever you want. And as long as you do a bunch of it, like it'll probably take off. And like, to me, I'm like, okay, like, so the art hasn't changed. I'm making the kind of videos I want to make, inspired by filmmakers that I can name and look after and all that kind of stuff. And it feels like it's my voice. I just chose the platform that's going to give me the most potential for it.
How much do you plan these out, or are you just kind of figuring them out as
I write them in the morning. Every morning I like get up and I go and I get some coffee and I'll read for 30 minutes and then I'll write for about 5 minutes and then I'll film what I wrote and then I'll like.
Okay, so you're just writing them. Okay.
A lot of my shit is.
I'm not saying that's bad.
No. But that's like what's fun about it too, is that like a lot of my writing is like really stream of consciousness.
Yeah.
So like I try to just keep it that way, and then like just try not to overthink anything that I'm doing with this.
That's the thing, is like I've been kind of trapped lately where like I keep not getting started with shit because I'm like thinking myself into a hole before getting started. I think so. Earlier this year, I put out Springtime in Tempe, which was like my first short.
Love that.
Thank you so much.
Everybody at the house, we all love that.
Oh, that's really sweet. Thank you.
Yeah.
So that was the first like Zane short film I've put out in years. Mm-hmm. And then I put out the Don't Take It Personal video for Tech Club, and that was like a short film music video.
I love that video too. I like that one a little bit more than Springtime in Tempe.
That's really cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
I think they're the best two things I've made. Like I'm just really proud of them.
I like the old tech video you did too. The one for his last single, I think.
Oh, Get Online with all the
Paradiddle, I think.
Okay,
Was it the one with the cropped lines and stuff like that? I love that video.
Thank you. I had a lot of fun making stuff for him.
You got me fucked up on that video. I was watching that and I was like, Zane's just doing it different. Like, I was like,
thank you. Yeah, I love working with Elijah and Jay. They're the best. And
no, they're awesome.
They're my favorite guys. So I put out these 2 films this year, and they're, in my opinion, the best things I've made. I'm just really proud of them, and they took the most work because, you know, they both were a lot of locations and a lot of just, hey, can you come film with me for an hour, please? You know, like a lot of my friends are in it, and so I've been working on those for a very long time. Both of them took multiple years, actually, just because pandemic, not even having the ideas fully finished like while I was making it, and also just like a big commitment to making it perfect before releasing it. And so they've been living in my head for like a long fucking time, and I thought that once I put them out, I would have this huge weight lifted off of my chest, and it would be way easier to get back to like making new things. And I gotta say, like, ever since I put them out like in May and June, I've been really going through this rut that I'm finally getting out of this month, where the last few months, I think like it had become really hard for me to sit down and work. And I think it's been a lot of just me overthinking stuff or going on social media and seeing what other people are doing and being hard on myself and not feeling capable. And so a lot of times when I see people doing stuff with like very polished, highly produced setups, whether or not it's like what you guys do, where you're making like a lot of moving parts happen really fast, instead of me, like I get so in my head of like I don't know how to do that, that then I just get concerned, and then like I don't make stuff. And lately, like I think I'm making like a fairly ambitious music video right now, And there was a lot of like kind of wallowing and like not feeling like I didn't know how to do it. And lately, I've just been kind of getting up in the day and just finding tasks to work on and just put. And slowly but surely, it's been pushing forward. And now I feel like I'm actually going to make something really great.
Yeah.
And I've just been trying to remind myself, like, I can do this. Like, I can figure this out.
Oh, yeah.
You know? But it's producing has always been my weak suit. So I guess, like, with you being the guy that, like, makes all this stuff happen, more or less, you know, it's, like, it's impressive to me.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And I think that's what made me want to become a producer was that I was like, it's a great job to try to get because you're basically the guy who's going to sign up to do everything nobody else wants to do, which makes you irreplaceable. You know what I mean? Because, like, everybody wants to shoot. But do you want to order the food and get the extras and make sure that the insurance is right for the location? You know what I mean? It's like not pretty. But what came with it is the whole reason I wanted to do it is I want a producer to work with me, be like, you're literally the easiest person I've ever worked with. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because then I'm cool with the producers and then I'm chilling. That's how I first started. Now I'm like, why would I have anody produce for me? You know what I mean? I'm like, I could just do it. I mean, I'd get a line producer, but that's probably as much as I would get for the foreseeable future. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's a slept on task. I think it's because people don't really know how to define it. But I think the main thing, this is something me and Tommy talk about because Tommy and I are both like kind of just the producers in our group. Like the biggest thing about being a producer is being like, okay, I don't know how this is going to work, but I'm going to figure it out. You know what I mean? Like if you stop yourself in any moment that you don't know how to do something, you're just going to become the most like limited person ever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and also like, I feel like even though you went to school and I didn't, I feel like we're still cut from the same crop on the fact that like, bro, at some point you didn't know how to do any of this.
Yeah, so I learned most of what I know how to do from YouTube.
Exactly.
Film schools.
That's what I mean. Film schools. Yeah. And like, I had some projects like when
you might be out of frame.
Oh, my bad.
We're on a 50, so I just want to make sure.
Yeah, no, my bad. I'm like getting all comfortable.
Yeah, we'll find out later.
But I had the same thing when I was younger. I had 2 short films that I put out, and I spent about a year and a half on both of them. I had like edited them at the same time. One was my 16 millimeter project for Scottsdale. Pete actually shot both of them.
Is Rain in it?
Yeah, Rain's in it. That's Joy of My World. I shot that in like the spring of 2018. I didn't drop it till like the end of 2019. And then I had a film called A Blind Date, and I probably dropped it a year after I had made it. And that was like, first off, that was like really, that was my second and third short film that I would say is like a short film that I would say is a full short. I made one in high school. That I was like, this is that I had like made, wrote, and directed and stuff. And I remember I was doing those, and I felt the same way. I wanted them to be perfect. I wanted to get it out. I thought I would feel better, and then I didn't make anything for like so long. And then I finally started doing the music video stuff with Danny and Tommy, and I did a few of my own music videos as well, and it kind of just like evolved into that. But I think something that I think is overrated, at least at this point in my life, is the idea that like art is perfect, because at the end of the day, art's made by people, and people are far from perfect. So to like criticize something that you're making to be the best it can be is almost doing it an injustice. Almost like if you had a kid and you were trying to criticize it and be like, you need to be perfect. You can't ask that of a child. And to me, the way that I express myself and the way that I approach creativity is that projects are like babies, and that like you gotta like teach you how to walk, and you gotta like do all that kind of stuff with it. Some people see it as like, this is a project, we need to get it done perfectly. I don't see anything wrong with that, because I think you also need to have the execution. You know, you're selling shit, all that kind of stuff. But like, that's what made me fall in love with TikTok, was that I was like, okay, I can make these, and if they're not perfect, it's fine. This algorithm is more about just releasing stuff than it is anything else.
Yeah, that's crazy, because I just as like a hobby, I made tallskeleton gaming, and it's been kind of dead for a little bit, but I'll bring it back. I just haven't. Well, I shouldn't say I haven't had the time. I don't know. Life's hard, you know.
Yeah, and dude, I get it.
Point is, I was posting like a Smash Bros clip every day for a while. At a certain point, see, Mark, Private Spicy, he's been doing that since longer than me.
Yeah, so I've seen some of yours on TikTok and stuff.
Oh yeah.
I see more tallskeleton gaming on TikTok than I do tallskeleton.
There's a lot more posts.
Yeah.
And so I wound up just getting a little bit overwhelmed by it. So I kind of just hired Mark to start running my channel for me. And then after a while, I took it back over, you know. I shot my buddy's feature film back in May, and I was just like so busy that I just kind of stopped posting for a while.
Yeah.
So haven't been doing stuff since May, but point is, just the action of consistently doing stuff, it got up to like 2,100 followers, which I don't really emotionally care about too much, but you know, I make art and I want to be able to continue to make art, and I know that these abstract numbers are what makes people think that we're worth investing in or whatever.
Well, it's leverage. It's able to sell.
It's
yourself,
leverage,
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
exactly.
Like,
and well, I was just gonna say, like, the Tallskeleton main, like, I rarely post on there, you know. And even still, it has like 300 or so, and it's just really crazy because like Mark, who he like very dedicatedly runs his page, he's up to like 11,000 or something like that. And kind of like what you just said, like it is a platform where like I don't want to say it's not about making stuff good, because there's a lot of good stuff on there, but I guess that like maybe more than anywhere else, like the whole consistency thing, like it really works.
To say that there's not good content on TikTok is like such a wrong thing to say.
It's a lie.
It's like
it's arguably too good. Like it's too addictive.
Yeah, it is.
You
yeah,
gotta get off of it.
I just don't like. I don't know. I feel like when I talk to people and they're not on TikTok, I'm like, and they're like, it's not good, or it's annoying, or it's content that's gonna like hurt your brain or something. I'm like, you gotta just. It's like TV. Like, you could watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians all day, or you could watch a guy teach you how to cook like the best fucking sandwich you've ever seen. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like, I think I spent a long time thinking that everything on there was cringe, and then I realized that it's actually an enormously large platform, YouTube. And whatever you see is like what you you know.
It's just a new YouTube. That's the way that I see it.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever replace YouTube.
No, I don't think so either. But it's like it's not an Instagram or Twitter. You know what I mean?
It's a YouTube competitor.
It sits more in the Twitch, YouTube. I think it's like in the Twitch, YouTube kind of like entertainment space.
You know what? You just made me realize all these other social media platforms, like Instagram and all of them, they're all trying to be TikTok.
Oh yeah, but like Instagram Reels, like that's like totally.
Well, yeah, I mean,
not Twitter though, because Twitter's awesome.
Well, what I was gonna say is it's kind of a fool's errand.
Yeah.
Because TikTok is more similar to YouTube than Instagram is similar to you know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Because there's like a natural part to it. Instagram doesn't work. Like, Instagram is so good. We talk about this all the time. Like, Instagram is so good at being a portfolio. Yeah. It's like such a good app. If you want all your shit in one spot, just put it on Instagram. And then you can share it to somebody. You can text it to them. Then pretty much anybody, as at least as a filmmaker or a photographer or a DP, you look at your stuff and you're like, wow, okay, I have a good understanding of this person's portfolio. TikTok's not about the profiles. It's about the videos themselves. That's why it's more YouTube. You can follow, there's a few, I follow like a dermatologist TikTok. My TikTok inspirations is this guy named American Baron, who's like popping on TikTok, and he makes like indie movies on TikTok, and I love them. And then like Salt Hank, who's a good cooking TikToker. These are pages that I've grown to be addicted to. Yeah. But at the end of the day, it's not as much about the pages. It's really just about those individual videos.
Have you seen this cottagecore guy?
Yeah. Oh, wait. The Hello Buddy.
Hello Buddy. Yeah.
He's got the dogs and turns on Super Nintendo.
Yeah.
That guy's definitely killed someone. Like, I just feel it every time. I feel it like every time I watch him, I'm like, you're too perfect.
No, he's so sweet.
Yeah.
He's like, we're going to make some honey tonight.
I don't know, dude. Somebody who sits in the woods and plays Super Nintendo all day kind of freaks me out.
I don't know. I kind of vibe with it.
I vibe with it too, but like, I don't know. There's just some little...
I think we might be too phobic of the woods.
Maybe. Maybe. I mean, he's probably living a very nice life, honestly.
Yeah, it seems like.
Yeah, he's got the little honey sticks.
Yeah, but yeah, no, like that's the thing is like my association with TikTok initially, and even still when it comes to just like the addictive scrolling nature, is that it's very just anxiety inducing and squirrel brained. And like, I mean, it's just like new thing. I mean, it's really unnatural, I think, for the human brain to change context that fast. But with stuff like the cottage guy, there's very relaxing, slow-paced stuff on there as well. And something I come back to is that, like, when you're making art or content, you really do get to dictate the tone and energy of it. And I think a lot of people's first inclination is to copy, like, whatever the meta is. Because there's a lot of gamer YouTubers, like, who they'll be making a video as simple as, like, 100 facts you didn't know. And most of them will come in all hot, like, "Hey, what's up, everybody?" And it's like, dude, that's exhausting to listen to.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of stress on the brain to hear a guy talk like that for 10 minutes. But then, like, I found this Animal Crossing channel, and she makes the sweetest, most quiet, gentle, like, her editing is just really nice. But I've literally seen Animal Crossing editors be so crazy with their narration. And my only point here is that, like, with TikTok, which has a stigma of being like kind of like crazy and weird, it's like you actually can make like sweet, relaxing things. And that's where, like, I see you kind of, using like jazz music and kind of having this like poetic pace.
Well, I want like to make my favorite movie on TikTok. That's what it is. I just want to make something like, I just like jazz. That's like why I do it. My friends were like begging me to stop putting jazz music in my TikToks the other
it's so
day.
good.
I like it. I like it too.
What's wrong with people?
I know.
People who hate jazz are weird.
Well, I get it. I mean, it's not like I guess it's just I get why they don't like it. Like, it's definitely like an acquired taste, but I'm not gonna stop because I like doing it. You know what I mean?
I don't think jazz should be an acquired taste. It's very pretty, and people should
I think so too. But like, also, like, you ever heard the songs with John Coltrane where he like sticks his fist in the trombone and he's making these little scorp noises? Like, it's like, that's not for everyone.
That's not what you're doing, though.
No, I'm not. I'm doing more classical stuff.
Go listen to Charlie Brown Christmas and tell me that.
Oh yeah, that's like oh, I should do a TikTok with that sound in it for like Christmas.
Beautiful.
Oh, especially because I'll be in New York. I'm doing that.
The last few years, that's all I listen to all December.
Oh yeah,
it's
me
so
too.
Good.
A girl in my student government class in high school, we do like Secret Santa in student government.
Yeah.
She gave me that album on vinyl, and like a green disc. Oh, it was nice.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was a really beautiful gift. I got kind of emotional. I was like, damn. I love that shit.
That's cool. I like a lot of weird vinyl with like colored discs.
Really?
And like, yeah.
I purged my vinyl a couple years ago. Cause my life in the last couple of years has been like basically like me riding on a tornado. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I moved to Vegas for a year, moved out here, been just running music videos since. Now I'm moving to New York. Like,
so it's like hard to own things.
I just like, it's just a waste of fucking time. You know what I mean? Like, I'll just own stuff when I'm more solid in my life. I want plants. Like, I'm looking around your place. You have such nice plants, and it's like, I can't. It's just not. I'm not gonna kill a plant.
That's the thing. I own a lot of like cool like toys and knickknacks and shit.
I think it's all so sick, but I just don't.
No, I'm with you because I envision moving away one day, and I'm like, what the fuck am I gonna do with all this?
I've done it a few times. It's not fun. I'm doing it right now. Like literally before I came here, I was driving a U-Haul truck and I was dumping off. Literally went to the dump.
Yeah.
And dropped like all U-Haul van full of shit. But also I was running a production company out of my house, so I had props in the closet for like days.
Yeah.
Fucking Jesus. There was so much shit.
Speaking of what you were saying about pitching a show through TikTok, have you seen these guys where they're like making like a 2000s like Nickelodeon like Nick at Night like sitcom type deal?
Oh yeah, I've seen the Seinfeld TikToks.
So okay, oh yeah, that guy Alex F. Sands, who makes like fake episodes of like millennial Seinfeld, he's great. What I've seen recently is there's been this trending sound where it's like the interlude music when, like, let's say like Drake and Josh comes back from commercial break. So but no.
I'm missing the whole music part and just thinking of the sound effect.
Great sound effect. But point is, this trend happened where people were like, POV, you're the jock in a 2000s show and you were just caught with alcohol, and so people have been like, spoofing these cliches. There's these two guys who they've taken it to the next level where it just keeps going, and then you're just watching like a 5-minute, and then you're just watching like a show basically. And what's great is then they have the timing like perfect to the frame for the way they like fade out, and they'll have it fade out and then it'll cut to like a commercial from our childhood, like the fucking Samsung,
and then it probably hits right, like
people are in the comments like, this is just good, this isn't a parody. This isn't a parody anymore. And now I realize like, oh, these guys are trying to get a deal, because they basically could be Drake and Josh,
dude. Well, like, I think being an actor, being on TikTok is such a great idea. You're just launching impressions and weird things. Like, I've seen so many fucking funny people who are like, I'm an actor on TikTok, and it's like, it's the same thing with artists, where like all these artists from TikTok are signing deals, and people are like, they only sign TikTok artists. No, fucking dumb bitch. Like, it's a fucking, like, it's like, no, these are artists who've been making music for the last 7 years of their life, and they realized they could put it on TikTok.
Well, that's why I've always hated the term SoundCloud rapper, because to me it doesn't make any sense. Because like that's like, well, I'm like, okay, they're an artist, and there is a website where you can put your music out for free. And I get
why would they not put it on there? Like,
well, I get that when people started using the term SoundCloud rapper, what they were really trying to do is they were trying to talk about like a certain subgenre that was perceived as like lazy or bad. But now I feel like it becomes this kind of weird classist thing, and I'm like, well, that's like calling like a YouTuber like a YouTube filmmaker, and I suppose maybe that is what people would call somebody like you or Joel, but like, I don't know. To me, I'm just like, it's free It's free global distribution. Like, it doesn't make any sense.
And it goes back to what I was saying earlier, but like, the content doesn't have to change. It's just use whatever platform is going to do you to the most success. Again, I'm trying to make my favorite movie on TikTok. The reason I'm doing it on TikTok is because I know it's going to work.
When you say my favorite movie, do you mean like the type of movie you would want to make? If
yeah. Well, it's just like, what do I like? I like top-down shots. I like jazz music. I like monologues. I love monologues. I love weird sound effects. I love awkward, uncomfortable groans. I love long hanging shots. I like frames where my head is in the corner. I like shit like that. Mm-hmm. So I'll just do that. I'm not gonna like cater to something that's happening on TikTok. I'm just gonna, I mean, maybe a few things like having clips replay and stuff like that. But like,
do you feel like you can bring these sensibilities to your music videos and stuff though? Because I will say, when you were describing earlier making like an indie coming of age style music video, and you were kind of saying like you almost wanted to pivot away from that.
I think I could do that. I just think, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I think I could do it. I just don't think with that artist that was the good idea. Yeah. Because I've done I don't know how many of my music videos that I've directed you've seen, but I've done like fantasy worlds. I've done like rom-coms.
Well, I saw the Zaya ones you did recently.
Yeah.
And the way that they're filmed and lit, it definitely has like a filmmaking touch rather than like this like kind of trendy YouTube kind of style.
Yeah.
But I know that like it's still, you know, it has like, you know, like visual effects and like flashy elements to it. And I'm not saying there's anything inherently wrong with that, but I just know that as you're describing wanting to be this kind of like film auteur guy, like, do you think that you could like make music videos and like drop like flashy glitzy elements and just kind of make it the way you would?
Yeah, I think I could, but I think it's just like I feel like the way I look at music videos versus like my TikToks right now is that a music video is like a standoff movie that I'm gonna make. Where I'm like, it kind of just needs to feel like this because that's what this needs to feel like. While like I feel like a TikTok would be like a TV show that I would make where I'm kind of in this grand control of the whole thing and I can cater it in ways that I need to move it with. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because like when I'm doing stuff with Saya, like Saya is probably out of almost everybody I've ever worked with, they're probably like my most fluidly collaborative person. I feel like I like every idea they tell me. I feel like they like every idea I tell them. And I feel like we've had a really great relationship with that. But also like I think what we are really on the same page with is that Saya doesn't always want Lucas OM videos. And I don't always want to make Saya videos because there's parts of Saya and there's parts of me that we're not trying to do together. You know what I mean? And I think, like I had this talk with them like a while back because they were like kind of wanting to do videos with other directors and stuff. And I was like, dude, like you're an artist. Do whatever with anybody. You know what I mean? Don't feel held back because we made a couple cool videos together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, I think that, but I that's fine because like I think what Saya and I are doing we're building a world together, and I think that they are allowed to visit that world as much as they want, as am I. You know what I mean? Like I almost don't want to do my quirky TikTok things on a Saya video. I want to make a really crazy world with Saya. Like
when you guys did the video for the song "Sex" and you had the like, so you were inside and you had people around him.
Are you talking about the mask guys?
Yeah, so it was like they had cloth around them, but then it was like strung out.
Yeah.
What's going on there?
First off, shout out my friend Mike Tyus. He's a choreographer in New York, and I stole that idea from him. Okay. It's he does choreography videos, and his are way cooler than that, just because he has actual dancers.
Yeah.
Second off, basically what I did is I got my friend Talia to get like these athletic fabric, and what we did is we stitched them so that it was just a giant cylinder, and we put them over their face. And then I grabbed sandbags and we put them on the other end, and we had people hold them so that it created that suspension. So we did that in a few different areas. That was the hardest thing to shoot ever.
I was looking at that. I was like, what's going on here?
Yeah. No, but dude, I'm not going to lie. The moment I put that in the edit, like the first like shot of that in the edit, I was like, I made something sick. Like I was like, yeah, that was cool.
That's my favorite video you've done.
Really? Thank you. It's mine too. It's actually really defeating because I'm like chasing the dragon because that was like the first music video I had done.
Really?
In like 3 years.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I was like, what?
Yeah. You're like, no, that can't be true. Like,
yeah.
But
Braxton shot it, right?
Yeah, Braxton shot it.
He's a very good.
He's awesome. He's great. He's like, that kid's a sniper, bro. He's like, I like him a lot. I believe in him a lot. I first saw his like little Instagram shorts that he made like a year ago. And I was like, this kid, I literally was like, whatever you need, let me know. I got you. Like literally. And like, I asked him if he wanted to shoot that because CQ and Dylan were both busy. And Saya was friends with Braxton. And they were like, Saya was like, oh, you should have Braxton shoot it. And we shot it. I actually shot 2 videos with Braxton. And I really liked working with him. It was awesome.
Yeah, I've like only gotten to talk to him in person once for 2 seconds, but I've texted with him a little bit.
He's really smart.
He's really good.
He he has 2 studio spaces out here too, right?
What?
Yeah, so he runs his own studio spaces out here. He has one called Studio Declan on Instagram, and there's
what kind of studios?
He has a vintage room that's like a yellow curtain and like green floors.
Oh wow!
And like you've seen it, you've had to see it in like somebody's music video out here. Yeah, he's got a place in downtown Phoenix, and he just built a teal marble bathroom.
How's he doing this,
dude? Because he was, I think he was editing for a company for a little while, and then but he told me recently because he helps out on our sets every once in a while.
Yeah.
And because he's just a homie, you know what I mean? And like, and he's super DIY, so I think he wanted to just be around other filmmakers.
That's how I've been feeling lately.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's important. I'm sorry, I'm moving. I'd invite you on set.
Yeah.
But yeah, I guess he just started making enough money off of that he could just do that full time.
Like building stuff.
He just runs these studios through like Peerspace and Gigster.
Oh. So like you make it and then you register it on there and then people rent
it,
like
you rent out a space, like a commercial space. You renovate it and then you just rent it out, and then at that point it's just like
that's crazy
upkeep and like making sure that somebody's there.
See, when I see people who are like this young like doing stuff like that, I'm like, I don't know. People have a lot of business sense.
Yeah, dude. I'm just now getting into business sense now, and I didn't think I needed it when I was younger.
That doesn't make sense to me though, with what you've been doing the last few years.
That's the beginning of my business sense. I wasn't doing it before. Okay. Also, what I do feel like, I do think so. I have this idea too of how I like to go about things, which is that like I had this production company I wanted to start a couple years ago called Left Hand Productions. The whole idea of it was like why left, because it's not right. And like to me, I think I've had a good sensibility in the last few years of making decisions as like just doing the weird thing or doing like the out of pocket thing or the high risk thing. Like I feel that way about New York right now, where I'm like, this feels like the most risky, so I feel like I should do it. And like, cause like when I first started doing, cause I've been with Overcast since the beginning of Overcast. Like I was helping them out really early on, and a lot of my friends back then were like, those videos suck, and I was like, whatever, like this feels refreshing, so I'm just gonna run with this. And those videos don't suck, but like they're cool videos.
No, yeah, I had risk is hard. I don't know,
dude. You got one life. You can do as much with it as you want to.
I know. I'm just thinking about like, okay, this is personal stuff. I shouldn't talk.
Yeah,
about
yeah, no. I just like the way I look at it is like, not taking a risk is a risk in itself. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like when I was in school, I was like, oh, should I drop out? And all my friends were like, you should not drop out. And I was like, yeah, but then I'm in school for the next 3 years and I'm doing this bullshit when I could just be doing my own thing. And like when I moved to Vegas in 2019 because I got a job at a film distribution office. And I remember I got offered the job and I moved out to Vegas a week and a half later. And that like completely just uplifted my life, changed it. I was seeing a girl that ended like I was making a short film with Dylan called Dog Days that I had to like finish up while I was moving, starting this new life. And I was like, fuck, this is like really risky and crazy. And honestly, I'm happy I ended up moving back here. But doing that was like like I just felt like I grew up as a person because I was just like, I'm gonna just do something crazy. You know what I mean?
What do you think about the fact that a lot of young filmmakers are told to work and work and work, and then let's say they direct like a big short film, you know, that they've been dreaming of making, and like, you know, they then want to take this and throw it in the festivals, throw it to Cannes, you know, and they think like this is gonna be it. This is how I make it.
Yeah.
Because for me, like, first of all, it's like it can be so expensive if you're gravitating
it's a whole process.
All of your energy towards this like one thing.
Yeah.
And then it's like you have like this one festival season to hope it lands, and then like maybe nobody even takes it, you know?
Yeah, which is probably what's gonna happen.
Yeah.
And that's not like shitting on anybody. That's just how it kind of works. Like
it's hard, and that's where it's like, I don't know. I feel like the industry kind of encourages a lot of this thought around like you have one shot. And it sounds like, you know, you and what you guys do, and kind of like what I'm doing as well. Like it's kind of this like constant in motion, you know, just keep making things.
So one thing my dad told me when I was younger, and I think it's like really insightful information, and it's just fail fast. And it's the idea that like just take your hardships and keep running with them. And I've really ran with that a lot of my life because I think that it's important to understand. I think in filmmaking, it is important to understand that you're going to make, like you're just going to make so many bad videos, and being scared of it, being scared of that feeling that makes you feel like, oh, this sucks. Like maybe I wasn't supposed to be a filmmaker. Like that's just like not anything you should listen to at all. You know what I mean? And I think I've made short films, and I think with short films I think the platform for short films right now is archaic. Nobody wants a short film.
Right.
Nobody wants a short film. And that sounds fucked up, but it's true. Nobody wants one. That's why I don't do them. It's because it's like, how do I make it so that people watch what I want? Yeah, if you go through the festival setting, then when you're going through the festivals, you have to cater to people who have archaic mindsets. And honestly, a lot of those people at festivals, not everybody, there's some good people who work at those things. But if you're working at a festival, if you don't win anything, you're not going to make any money. You have to pay to go to those festivals. You got to pay, get a hotel, do all the kind of thing if you want to actually represent. And if you have a short film, you might be able to get it on a really small distribution platform, and they'll give you very little money because that's it. And you're not going to get that unless you get some kind of like film festival accolade. Something I learned when I worked in festivals is that like 90% of film festivals are bullshit. And so like if you win at the fucking Portland Atlantic Newspaper Film Festival, it doesn't do anything. Yeah. Or the Arizona Film Festival or the Sedona Film Festival.
That's how I feel. That's why I stopped entering my stuff in all these random locals.
Yeah, because it's fucking stupid. And I went to a few, and like no offense to them, you know, if you guys have fun doing it, that's important. But like at the end of the day, like if you actually want to progress in your career, I went to the Cannes Film Festival and the Toronto International Film Festival, and I worked for talent agencies as an intern, and I interned at a film distribution office, and then I worked at the film distribution office, and I was like, okay, if I were to go and work a film at a festival, this is how I would do it. I would have my short, and then I would also have a full feature written from that short film, and I would have like actors ready, mid-level actors, like someone like Daniel Radcliffe, who will take on an indie project, but they're not like super hard to attain as long as the script's good.
You mean like you have people in mind?
Yeah, I have a whole pitch in mind for a feature.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go blind in with a short film. It's just not worth it.
That's how I've thought. I think our professors actually even told us that because Damien Chazelle.
The whole Whiplash thing.
Yeah, he had the Whiplash short film.
He's smart, but Damien Chazelle also comes from like money and like high education. You know what I mean?
That's
like,
the thing. The short film had J.K. Simmons.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. But like,
it
still works though. The Lights Out, which is a horror film that came out, they won at Sundance. It was a 2-minute short film, and then they made it into a movie. Like it happens.
Is that the one with the blind guy?
No, that's Don't Breathe.
All right.
But no, like I love film festivals. It's honestly one of the coolest things I've ever done in my entire life. But like, I also just am like, I did the film festival thing because when I dropped out of school, I had some money for my grandma. My parents were like, you can use this if you want to, but you need to use it to like learn something. And I was like, all right, look, if I go to film school, it's not going to teach me anything I can't learn for free. So what do I need to understand? I need to understand the business of filmmaking. That is something that you can't learn in school. So I went and I applied for some internships. I did internships at these festivals, and I learned how all that worked. and I learned how film festivals worked. And pretty much the moment I feel like I had a good understanding for film festivals was the moment that I was like, I need to figure out how to get independent distribution for my stuff. I need to figure out how to actually do that. And I need to do it in a model that works for me. Because like this is where I'm getting with business now. Business can be just as creative as art itself as long as you allow it to. You can do things your own way. You can be creative. And usually creative decisions in business pay off, as long as you understand what you're doing as you're doing it. And I think that, like, for me, I started falling in love with Casey Neistat because Casey Neistat, I felt so similar to him, where I was like, I am a filmmaker, but I know that I can make things I know I can make cool videos for, like, little to nothing. And I understand that there's this, like, platform that you can grow on that nobody's really touching on. And, like, when I kind of started leaning into that, I had ideas. This is, like, my 5th TikTok attempt. I did vlogs on TikTok a year ago. I made, like, 20. I released, like, 10 of them. I was way too perfectionist-y on that. I did poems. I did comedy bits on TikTok for a little bit. This is like not the first time I've tried doing TikTok.
Did you feel like a need to, like, kind of wipe the slate clean and not...
Yeah, I think that you got to grow a page, like a channel, in the sense where you got to, like, have, like you have a tall skeleton and then a tall skeleton gaming, right? You're not going to do both on one. I'm the same way. So I did the vlog one, and I just felt like there was a lot of my personality was being lacked in that. And then I did the poetry one, and that just felt boring. I felt like I was, like, just sitting there and reading poems. It also felt a little too serious. My poems aren't really that, like, funny. And then I did, like, I tried to get into, like, I helped run the Overcast TikTok, like, 2 years ago, like, when we were really trying to do it. And I did a couple of DIY videos on there, like how to do your own Snorri cam, or like here's some apps that help out filmmakers that you probably don't know. And I was like, this is something I could totally do, because I know a lot about things in filmmaking that I feel like a lot of filmmakers on the internet don't even know about.
That's the type of stuff I've been feeling like I should do, but when I think about it, it doesn't enthuse me a ton to make, like, tutorials and stuff. And then that's where it's like, I love behind the scenes content. Like, I've been watching Corridor Digital since 2014.
We've talked about Corridor a bunch of times. Yeah. I actually was introduced to them, like, last year.
Oh, you met them?
No. I'd never
just like
them.
the channel.
I'd never seen the channel.
Yeah, so I started watching them in 2014, and, like, their side channel I learned so much from watching these behind the scenes videos, like the making ofs. I love shit like that. But I don't know. Sometimes when I think about all the projects I'm trying to make and then setting aside time to edit together a making of, like, my mind melts a little bit. And I also don't have, like, a guy, like, on set filming the making of. So, like, that's something I would also need to make those a little bit more possible. But I've made some making of things in the past, and, like, some of them were kind of so I, like, unlisted them and stuff. But yeah, that's the sort of stuff I would love to make of it. But it's just... sometimes I'm like, having the time to, like, make the art and then make videos about the art, like, it's, like, so tedious.
Well, that's what makes, like, TikTok so great, is that, like, I have for my production company, I think I'm going to start another TikTok and just do, like, everything that has to do with my music videos on there, but have that mostly be just, like, time lapses of me building out shots and stuff like that. Like, just stuff that's, like, almost like, and then if I, like, have time one day, maybe I'll do, like, a little tutorial thing, but, like, not really, like, limit it to that. I don't love the tutorials. It was just an avenue I knew I could do.
Right.
I have a good camera presence, and I know I can explain a lot of things. And I knew the logistics aspect, which is stuff that people don't really talk about on videos. Yeah. But once I got to the thing that I do now, I think it was really just like, how can I actually, if you look at my earlier TikToks, I did dialogue pieces. But those took me a while, because I was doing, like, responses and I was going back and forth.
Like a sketch where
yeah. And it was fun. But when I got into, like, the monologue stuff, I was like, I can write these faster, I can film them faster, I can get them done in a day. And they started, also, the first one that I think my first TikTok that did anything got, like, 30K. And that was, like, off of me basically explaining what it's like for me to have a panic attack. And the moment I did that one, I was like, this is, like, definitely my avenue.
Yeah.
Also, controversial stuff.
Talking about, like, interpersonal things.
Yeah, just, like, I have this one, I I forget what it's called, but it plays to the song Time Moves Slow by Bad Bad No Good. And I'm basically just explaining what it feels like to go about your life and feeling like you're always waiting for the next thing. So like I was like, I'll watch a movie to get to I'll watch a TV show to get to the next episode. I'll read a book to finish the next one. And I'm working just so I can get the stuff I need to get done tomorrow done. And I was like, I'm not actually living my life.
Right.
When I started writing about stuff like that and having these like inner monologues, TikTok picked up. I was having more fun, and it was really easy for me to express it.
Yeah. Maybe I'm just thinking about like what I could do.
Dude, just do whatever feels right.
That's the thing is like, I don't know. I think I'm like a pretty particular person, as we all are, you know, and like people who know me, they know like the shit I think about and like to talk about, and like I have a lot of different interests, and I don't know. I'm like, maybe I should just fucking... My thing is like, okay, I'm overthinking all of the stuff about, you know, like setting it up and making it nice and making it presentable. And I'm like, all right, well, if I am the type of person where it's like, if I want this to be easy, all I want to do is set up a phone and then just say stuff. Maybe that's what I should do. Maybe I should just go to the park and lean it against something and then just ramble about stuff for a few minutes. And maybe like that's my version of what you're doing.
Exactly,
you know?
yeah. Well, I mean, do you like my TikToks?
Yeah.
They're easy. they're like so easy. When I realized that people are actually gonna like the stuff that I do that I don't put a whole lot of effort into, that made me be like, holy shit, why am I like hurting myself over trying to make something perfect? Which I still want to do, but right now I don't got a lot of money. You know what I mean? Like,
what I like about what you're doing is that they kind of have this like poetic like rhythm to them. You know, like I know that you said you used to do poetry, but I feel like what you're doing now still kind of has that
I think
structure.
It does too. Well, it's monologues, which I think can be really poetic. You know what I mean? And again, it kind of comes from this like, I've written movies before and I write scripts, and I don't really love like writing platforms and stuff like that. Like, but I definitely consider myself a writer. And I wrote poems for like 3 years, like almost a poem every single day, just because I was like, it's just good therapy for me.
Yeah.
And I used to read those, and then I was like, this just isn't fulfilling me. And now I don't even write poems anymore because I usually am writing these TikTok scripts.
Right.
So I think it is similar to poetry.
Yeah, I see. I've just been really trying to restructure my life lately to like carve out more time for shit I enjoy, because I feel like now a lot of the stuff that used to come naturally to me, like just drawing, you know, now I think about it like, how am I ever gonna have time to draw, you know? And it becomes this like project in my head. But before it was just like a thing I would sit down and do, the way you described playing Pokemon, right? Or like writing poems. And it's like, I don't know. I think between like producing videos to even doing like these fun like art things, it can be so easy to like make the idea of it in your head feel like a mountain. Yeah. And then kind of like, I related a lot to what you were saying about the whole like living for the next day. Like everything you're doing is like for another thing. And it's really just an avoidance of being present.
Yeah, exactly.
But then you look at your screen time and you're like, oh, look at all this time that could have been spent doing those things that you were thinking about how you can't do them.
Well, and I think a lot of it comes down to the fact that like humans are like fragile creatures, and our brain and the way that we actually want to function is really fragile, or at least that's the way I approach it. And like trying to do things like, I feel like we all want to do all of these things, and if we try to do it all at once, we're not going to get any of it done.
Yeah.
But if you try to do one thing at a time, like my life at this point is a slope of like complete organization to straight mania, and then back to complete organization again.
Yeah.
I like to meditate. I like to write poetry. I like to read. I like to meal prep. I like to have a weekly budget that I look on, all that kind of stuff. But then I have 4 videos in 1 week. How the fuck am I supposed to do all that stuff? And what I do is I fall off the horse, and then I slowly put myself back on. So like, I'll start with the meditation because it's the easiest and it's the fastest, and then I work my way into the other things. And I think that like, I feel like if you kind of look at it, approaching everything like that, it makes it easier. I think that like with me with TikTok, that was where I was like, okay, let's make this as easy as possible, so then there's no excuse. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's a lesson I've learned over the last number of years, where around like 2018 or so, where I was like getting out of college and just, you know, being an adult, trying to do better by myself. At that point, I was already going to therapy and I was medicated. I'd like gone to yoga classes. You know, I was on this kind of like...
Yoga's great.
It really is.
If you can like get yourself to doing yoga constantly, you're going to be like a super healthy person.
I was starting on this journey of like learning of like enjoyable like self-health type things, and I kind of became like obsessive over learning stuff that I could do better. And so I started getting really obsessed over like the health of sleep, and and so I was learning like
you saw the Matthew Walker podcast.
Yeah,
you start freaking the fuck out, right? Like
exactly. And so between that and meditating and this and that, like I had this laundry list of things that I felt like I needed to be doing to be my most optimal self, because I worked it in my head like, this makes me feel better and this makes me feel better, so if I get to a point where I can do all of these things, I'll be so happy. And like those things, I think, definitely bring your default setting of like consciousness and mood to a higher place of content rather than suffering. But I think in general, when you're alive, it's like, I think happiness is kind of an illusion, and like life is kind of more about being content, and then you get to enjoy moments of happiness, and like ultimately that I think comes from like being healthy and having like a good mindset. And so I was getting like, I honestly still am like this, like just so obsessed with like being like perfect with all these like health regimens, whether or not it was meditation or sleep or whatever. And I would talk to my therapist about it, and I'd be like so hard on myself for like fucking up any of these individual areas of things.
That was hurting you more than even the preventatives that you were trying to do.
Well, really, what it was is I was failing at all of them.
Yeah, because you were too hard on yourself.
And she was like, "Well, you need to focus on like one at a time."
Yeah.
So like this year, like the thing I'm hardest on myself for this year is I've been eating more fast food than I ever have. Like I've been eating terribly this year, but I've been like smoking less weed than ever, and that's like a goal I've had for like years now.
Yeah,
and
we've talked about that a few times.
Yeah, I'm finally having more self-control with like drugs and stuff than like I have in the last few years. And like, sure, while I've been excelling at that goal, this other one has been biting me in the butt. But it's just fucking hard to do both at the same time.
Again, it's like when they talk about quitting an addictive drug. Let's say you smoke cigarettes and you smoke weed, which I've had problems with both in the past. Like, if I try to quit both at once, I'm going to fucking obliterate myself. But if I try to quit one and just lean on the other a little bit, long term, that's not a great idea. But you got to just get through the day. You know what I mean? And I think that's how it is for me. Like, anytime I've ever had to, like, stop my routine entirely, I don't immediately go back to meditating, reading, working out, all this kind of stuff. I usually start with the smallest thing, and then I try to make my way back. Because, like, the goal is to do it. It's not to be perfect. And I think we get caught up in that. It's probably like maybe sometimes with you with like all the health things that you got really into, you were trying to be more perfect about doing them than actually just getting them in your system and like actually like being conscious of it.
And like the idea behind it was that I wanted to feel good and happy, but I feel like I don't know, I get a lot of self-awareness of disappointment. Like I can feel guilty and shameful like very easily.
Oh yeah, well you're a guy. Like you're a man. That's like our biggest problem in life is that we're just like sitting here and we're like shaming ourselves all the time. Like there's like
well, it's just like when you're sitting in that, it's like I'm doing all these healthy things for myself, but then that's still what I'm thinking about, and it's like, no, you gotta kind of just get present with. I don't know. It's a cliche, but like reteaching yourself to just be happy about like little things, or things that aren't even little, but you've just grown accustomed to them. Like I love living in this house, and so like the week when I moved in here, I was so happy. Now it's my day-to-day reality, so I don't think about it as much. But sometimes, like, I really just try to, like, look around and reflect and be like, this is nice.
Dude,
you know?
I feel you because I live in, like, honestly, my house is gorgeous. I have a fucking lake in the backyard where people are, like, water skiing on. And sometimes I'm just, like, I'm fucking busy and tired and fucking whatever. But then sometimes I'm just standing outside and I'm like, damn, what the fuck? Like, this is such a nice place.
Yeah.
And that's really important. I think excuse me. I think, like, it's just like you kind of said. I think you just gotta like anything in life that's worth it. You gotta earn it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think happiness goes along with that so well. And like, you gotta remind yourself to be happy. You can't switch happy on autopilot. It just doesn't work that way. And if you're doing it, you're probably just suspending something very difficult to address. You know what I mean?
Yeah. You want to end it right there?
Yeah, I feel like that's good. Yeah.
We're at 2.5 hours.
You know what's crazy is I didn't realize that you're definitely moderating this whole thing in a really subtle way. And that's something I didn't understand in podcasting that I'm starting to, like, just being here is like, you have bits you're incorporating, you're definitely steering conversation when you're like, okay, I know that people are going to be interested in this.
Yeah.
Like, it's interesting.
Well, this is episode 29, and I've done 3 with no guest, where it's just me.
Yeah.
So I've done guests 26 times now.
Okay.
And it gets easier the more you do it, because when you have to watch 2 hours of yourself talking, you get very critical.
Oh, I'm sure.
And so sometimes when I have people on, they're like nervous, and I'm like, I gotta watch myself every time I do this.
Yeah.
But the reason I do this is because I've been into like interviews and talk shows since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
I just love listening to people talk. I find people very interesting.
I think it's so interesting too. That's why I wanted to do it for so long. That's
yeah.
why I was bothering you, because I was like, this seems like so much fun. And it was.
Sorry
cool.
it took so long.
No, it's all good. It's all good. I'm happy. I'm just happy we got to do it before I left.
Yeah. What you were saying about the moderating thing, though, something that I listen to a lot of podcasts, and like a lot of them are comedy based or interview based, and what I've found to be really fascinating is whether or not it's like Ethan from H3H3 or like Joe Rogan, when they are a host versus when they're a guest on someone else's show, it's actually like a very different vibe.
Yeah.
And it kind of shows how, even though this is just 2 people having a conversation, when it's like your thing, you have this like thing in the back of your mind where you're the only person who really has to think about the audience and like how it's flowing and stuff. And you're the person asking questions. Maybe you have a really nice flow going, and the guest actually is asking you just as many questions as you're asking them, and that's cool. But you can't really rely on that to happen. But the other thing is that if you're thinking too much about the next thing you're going to ask, then you're not listening anymore.
Yeah.
So I think that's where just like research and preparing is really important.
So do you research before you bring people on?
Yeah. I'll say that, no offense, this is some of the least research I've done.
All good.
Because I already know you, but,
but
2, we did this on really short notice.
Yeah, for sure.
But the most recent one I did for the filmmaker Dan Chen, I was going out to LA. I was doing it in his home. Mm-hmm. He got a movie into like Tribeca.
Oh, that's sick.
There was a lot of stuff that I wanted to talk to him about, and he's like a good filmmaking connection I have, so I wanted to be professional. So
yeah. This one's a lot more casual, yeah.
Yeah, well, it's. I think people can learn stuff from this.
No, totally. But I think it's like, I know what you mean though. Like our relationship is more casual, so you can bring it more casual.
Right.
You know me. You've known a lot of like the stuff I've been doing for the last few years. So yeah.
And so like as far as research, like I think it's really important, because if you look at somebody like Sean Evans from Hot Ones, or like even Nardwar, those are the most researched interviewers in the game. They know shit that you don't even know about yourself.
Nardwar's crazy, yeah.
And I get so goddamn annoyed when like Jimmy Kimmel or somebody asks a question like, I heard that you and your daughter were you guys on vacation in San Diego recently? And then the guest is like, no. And like clearly what happened is like their team put together some notes, they half read them, remembered the fact wrong. You know what I mean? And so there's been tons of times I've seen a talk show host like bring up like a plot point of the actor's movie, and it's just so wrong. Yeah. And I'm like, what was your day today? Were you thinking about your job like at all?
You know who's a really good one? They got canceled because they're a fucking creep, but they were really good. Is you ever listen to Charlie Rose talk to filmmakers?
Oh, Charlie Rose is an amazing interviewer.
Oh God, when he talks to, especially when he talk, you could tell he loved cinema, because when he talks to filmmakers, he's like giddy. Like it was like I watched so many of his, because I always watch like interviews with directors and stuff like that.
Yeah. No, I think that interviewing is like an art, and with
I think too.
With podcasts, I've tried to approach this more as having a casual conversation where interesting stuff might come up than an interview, because I think when people feel like they're being interviewed, they're more inclined to give short answers that are getting to the point rather than just having like a flow,
an elaborate kind of thing. And I think that's what podcasts became so great, is that like I learned so much on like Joe Rogan's podcast, like whenever he has an interesting guest on. Yeah. And it's like so fluid conversations.
Yeah. I think that there's like a lot of valid criticism about him, but I think like when his show is at its best, he's had on very, very interesting like scientists like Matthew Walker, or, you know, I mean, he's even had on like Bernie Sanders, right?
Yeah.
He's had on really good guests, and
I just had Mark Zuckerberg on.
I was listening to it last night, and I have thoughts, but
yeah.
you know, the point is like, yeah, like, you know, he's someone who I think creates a very nice, natural environment where people can kind of just talk as themselves, you know, and like, I don't know, talk shows are cool, and I like them a lot, you know, like Conan, for instance, but, you know, that's kind of like a show business version of it.
Yeah.
And like, I think in podcasts, like, just getting to hear people like talk as themselves, like, you can kind of get a lot of humanity out of it.
It's better because it feels like, again, we have something like Bernie Sanders and Mark Zuckerberg on a podcast, and you're like, oh, these are people, even though they're huge or they're powerful or anything like that.